Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair, took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. How with the gang we packing? We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I will soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and them, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my low, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and they dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I will soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going.
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's I can text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. On the road, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A little bit of technical difficulties there, guys. I don't know what the heck happened there. We got our music paused, everything stopped for a second, and then we were back live. But what is going on, Mafia? Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here on this beautiful Thursday. I always lose track of the days here, guys. But yeah, beautiful Thursday. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here. Let's see. We got Rudy in the chat. What is going on, Rudy? We got Conspirator in the chat. Elixir, Jesse, our like police guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. The easiest and freest way to help support this YouTube channel is to hit that like button, guys, and we genuinely appreciate it. It helps out more than you could possibly imagine. So smash that like button if you're here sitting in the chat right now. And yeah, we got a giveaway to do tomorrow. I don't know exactly what we got on the list. I think we're giving away some free crypto. And if we run up the likes tonight, if we can really pump up the likes, maybe we'll add some more free money. Probably USDT. But let's see. We got Perry in the chat. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. Neon Visual. We got Jeremiah in the chat. Said, any info on Jasmine? How low can it go? Shout out to Jeremiah. Well, we're going to be taking a look at here at Bitcoin as well as the altcoins, guys. If you tuned into yesterday's live stream, you will know we were looking at some of that medium time frame money flow crossing into the red or looking to come over to cross over into the red, anticipating that continuation down. And here we are sitting at that new low. Well, we are kind of retracing to the upside, but I'll cover all the local levels with you guys. Are we going to bounce from where we're at right now, or is there a higher probability of getting a bigger correction to come in here? Well, that medium time frame money flow is still coming out, so I am going to be very careful with these pops to the upside. We'll break down all the key levels and what exactly we're looking at next for Bitcoin. So smash that like button, and while you guys are doing that, let's go ahead and jump on into... Shout out to Chris Klein, says, glad I got to catch the show from the beginning today. Shout out to Chris. Welcome in. Perfect timing because we're about to jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So as you know, if you've been tuning into the live stream here for, I don't know, any amount of time, you will know, or yesterday specifically, we were looking at some very specific things on the chart here, looking at that 2 and 3 hour money flow cooking to the downside here. Now, you guys will also remember, yesterday my sentiment was kind of neutral as I am holding my bigger long position down from about $111,000 as well as a short position which was actually set up here at the high, but I got stop hunted as I talked about on the market update. If you guys watched that market update that I dropped a little while ago, you will know I got stopped out of that position. I had to re-enter on these retracements, and then I did add to that position, so my entry wound up coming in pretty much down here at the golden pocket. But kind of yesterday, my medium-term, short-term bias was kind of neutral here, either looking for the push to the upside, and there was kind of a case to argue both sides. We were looking at the 45-minute money flow, looking to potentially cross into the green here yesterday during the show. You will know where are we at? What is today? Today is the 8th. We had that 45-minute money flow coming up here, looking to cross over into the green with a potential 12-hour green dot. And if you were looking for that move up, that was the signal to look for. Unfortunately, we just never got it, right? That money flow never crossed into the green. We came back out into the red, and that 12-hour green dot also never ended up printing, which made the bearish case more probable at that point because as we were looking at that 2 and 3 hour money flow continuing to the downside here, guys, we were very suspicious of lower highs and lower lows. This money flow is always going to indicate the longer-term trend for the most part. And, anytime you have that money flow coming out, we're going to be looking for those lackluster retracements for lower highs and lower lows. And I am holding that short position. Again, original entry was up here. I got stopped out, re-entered in on the retracement, and then it was only a partial position. It was a very small position here. So as we were looking for that retracement to the upside, not yesterday, but the day before, looking to potentially add to that position where we were talking about how I added to that position here, making it a little bit bigger, still not a full position size, but bigger than it was from up here. So I am still holding that short. Talked about this on the market update as well. Let me see if I can pull this up really quickly over on FEMAX, up about $1,000 here. And I'm going to continue to hold this, guys. And the reason for that is still our money flow coming to the downside here. This could still make us anticipate a continuation of that downtrend, looking for potential lower highs and lower lows to come. And I'm going to talk about some of those lower targets in case we do get a bigger breakdown here, as well as kind of my overall thought process long term. So I'm going to hold that short position continuously. Again, still holding my long position down here from about $111,000. So I have massive profits locked in on here. I have about $6,000 locked in on that long position. As you can see, still getting paid out on fees here, guys. So we got about 6K locked in. I would say dang near 1,000 of this is on fees. Still got about 5,000 unrealized. And I am also in a small scalp long here from our key level of support that we looked at yesterday as well. Because you guys will know, as we got this drop down, I guess this was 2 days ago, we got this drop to the downside and we had our local volume profile where, let me pull that up here, right here, right? We had that local volume profile, not really interested in many big positions here. The only thing I was interested in here, as I mentioned on the live stream, was just a rotational trade through the profile. Right? A little scalp long position. I didn't take a position here, but it was really the only thing I was interested in. And why was that? Well, very simply put, guys, it was because we kind of front ran the key level of support that we were looking at, right? The bigger level of support. Sure, the value area low is always going to be an area where you can look for those scalps, right? This is a lower time frame range, so you can look as you deviate below that low, you can look for those long positions to get back into the range, back to the POC, and then eventually back up to the high. But this is kind of just where I was more interested in adding to my short position, obviously, for that continuation down based off our money flow. Again, not only on the 2 and 3 hour and the 4 hour, but also the 1 hour was crossing over here as well. So that wound up being the right decision there. But the question is, guys, now that we have finally come down and tapped this level, which is obviously the bigger level of support where we have the value area high, the golden pocket, and the anchored VWAP here, which is tapped almost perfectly to the dollar here. Obviously, I know it could get a little bit tricky here, and this is why I try to not only explain the key levels, right, but explain like exactly the context, right, like what I'm looking for here. Sure, we can get the bounce off the value area low, but not really interested in significant positions because of that money flow indicating it would likely be a lackluster retracement for that lower high and the lower low to come in. But now you can see, more often than not, you will come down to those key levels. So we have now tapped that golden pocket value area high and that anchored VWAP. And this level, guys, is absolutely critical. And I don't want to, like, scare people, right? It's not that, if we lose this, we're going into a bear market or anything like that. But this is kind of the first major level of support that we were looking at other than the little scalp levels here for that retracement. This is a pretty big level, right? And the reason for that is obviously we have the golden pocket, value area high, anchored VWAP. This anchored VWAP is pulled from the low here at about $108,000. Excuse me. So it would be very, very nice to hold this to get a continuation to the upside. But when I start to think about the probabilities, right, although this is support, although it is a golden pocket, a place where we can get that hold on the higher low for another push up, when we look at money flow, it does get a little dicey here, guys, right? Like, if I were looking for a massive higher low here for new all-time highs to come, what do I want to see here on the money flows? Is exactly what we covered yesterday, and obviously you see how that wound up playing out. This money flow would literally have to be inverted, right? This would have to be a big red wave to first just, like, start to cross over into the green for a fresh crossover. That would make me anticipate a bigger continuation up, but when, we obviously have the opposite happening here, money flow coming out on the 2-hour, money flow coming out on the 3-hour, and money flow also starting to trend out here on the 4-hour. Sure, this green dot can give us a little push up, but when it comes to the overall trend, we do have to be careful of lower highs and lower lows, and I will go over those key levels of resistance that I'll be looking at for a potential lower high to come in before continuing down. Now, if we don't wind up getting that happen, sure, can we just scam to the upside? Can this money flow fake back out into the green and give us a massive pump? Sure, right? Anything can happen, but when it comes to the TA here, I would say, same thing as yesterday, right? Most of the money flow was coming out. Lower highs and lower lows is going to be the higher probability, right? And I do bet on that, right? We added to the short position into that golden pocket that we anticipated the day before, right? And I don't say that to brag, like, look, we know where price is going. I could have been wrong on this. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. If you've watched long enough, you guys will know we're not right every single time. But when it comes to the probabilities, right, we just know that probability is going to be higher that lower high could come in. And that's what gives me that confidence to add to the short position and capitalize on the extra downside. But this level here, guys, at 112.5, call it 112.4, all the way down to the 786 at about 118,765. This is kind of key, right? Because we, at the end of the day, if I clean up these intermediary levels, we really don't want to lose this value area high. Because guess what, guys? Within the context of the volume profile, anytime, whether we're looking at this as a small volume profile or we are looking at something much, much bigger like this volume profile, they are all treated the same from a theory perspective, right? And it's like, hey, guys, when we look for that short up here, if we get accepted back into the range, what are we going to be anticipating? A drop down to the POC, and then eventually a loss of the POC and a move down to the low. Same thing at the low. Deviate below, you can look to get back into the range, go to the POC and the value area high. Well, Frankie, why is this even relevant when we're talking about this range? Well, very simply, guys, if we get accepted back into this volume profile, if we get a loss of this value area high, and we cannot hold support on that 786, which is also confluent with the daily naked point of control. So we do have confluence in here, and it is contextually a key level as it is a golden pocket and 786 Fibonacci retracement. But at the end of the day, guys, if we bounce off these levels and we cannot get out of this range, well, guess what? We are going to be looking for a bigger drop down to the POC. And then potentially if we lose that POC, we can look for that full fill of the range down to the value area low. And in the beginning of the week, we actually talked about these lower levels in case the bigger drop did come. And obviously those bigger levels are going to be sitting down here on the bigger full golden pocket pulled from the low to the high, sitting right here between about 115,281 and 114,387. I don't love this level as much as I like the value area low, only because if we did get the rejection back in here, sure, you can get the bounce off the golden pocket, but at that point, you're below the value area high, you're below the POC, and, there is a high probability that you can get the full fill of the range. So this is kind of major level number one. If we can't hold that, I would personally prefer to see that value area low, which is the biggest level on the chart, in my opinion, as of right now, because if this is not going to be a higher low on the 786, similar to what we saw happen back here, right? If we pull that fib from the low all the way to the high. You can see that 786 wound up holding for a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. It's very, very similar here. If we wind up not being able to hold this level for a higher low and an eventual higher high into new all-time highs, well, losing this level, guys, is going to be much more bearish in my opinion and could cause a much bigger drop to the downside because guess what? Just like we have a small profile up here and a bigger profile down here, it's the same thing. It's like volume profileception here, guys. If we pull up that major volume profile, well, guess what? We have a little range up here, and then we have the much bigger range down below, and it would be the same thing. We do not want to lose that value area high at about 107K because it opens up the doorway to get accepted into that bigger area of value, potentially pointing towards a much larger crash on Bitcoin. Now, obviously, we're very far away from this. I'm not calling for this to happen, but I just want you guys to be aware of those key levels and the context when it comes into the volume profiles, even on Ethereum, right? We looked at Ethereum last night on the live stream talking about how, hey, well, what do we have here, guys? It's a simple volume profile. We deviate above the high. This is overvalued price action compared to the recent or overvalued price based off the recent price action, right? Anytime you deviate above these highs, this is typically where you want to be looking for those short positions or even just anticipating acceptance into the range. And what does that make the next target? The point of control. Where is Ethereum sitting right now? You lose the value area high. Sure, you can get those retracements to the upside, but eventually you are going to expect that POC to come in, just showing the magnetic nature of these volume profiles, guys. This is a large part of my analysis and how we're able to be calling for these prices to have a high probability of getting hit, right? It's not magic. It's just how the volume profiles typically play out. So I will come back into Ethereum and do a little bit of a deeper analysis on this, but just to show that, right? Like what was yesterday? The 8th at about, where are we at here? The 8th at about, we were live right around here, right? We got that drop in. You can get the, retracements to the upside, but at the end of the day, until you break out of this range, you could bing bong around here. And we even compared it to this previous price action where you drop in, retest the high, still can't break out, and then you get that move to the POC. And it's not just the volume profile, guys. It is the money flow. We talked about this yesterday as well, very specifically. What is happening here on money flow? We get back into the range. Your money flow is coming out here very clearly on the 2 hour. And you can see that very clearly. This indicates the trend is going to continue down. And on top of that, you're getting accepted into your area of value, calling for a drop down to that value area low. It was the same exact situation yesterday on Ethereum, right? We get the drop, with deviation above, you get the drop into the range. Money flow is coming out here on the 2 hour. Money flow is coming out here on the 1 hour. This indicates that the trend is going to continue down, right? Making the next target the POC. And you can see how perfectly we are tapping into that level. So again, I'll go deeper into this, but just to kind of show you guys how these volume profiles play out and why I use these as to give me my context, right? It's like, that's why I don't want to lose this level here. And again, it is a zone, but the overall level here is the value area high at 122.80, right? Sure, you can dip below, right? Tap into that anchored VWAP, right? Push back up. And again, I am scalp long from down here with the premium Discord. So, we'll see if that winds up playing out. It's a very small position. And again, I am holding my bigger long position as well. But we wind up coming down here and hanging out in this range, and we can't get that big bounce off that 786. Well, guess what? I'm just going to anticipate, especially with money flow coming out, that move down to the POC, and then the move down to the golden pocket and the value area low, these next two key levels that we just went over. So that's kind of where my context comes from, right? It's not just like guessing or, making, I guess it's like an educated guess. I wouldn't say it's just randomly guessing. But that's, when we see these volume profiles play out time and time and time again, this is where my context comes from. That's why this key level is so important. So yeah. That's what I'm looking at here. Again, money flow coming out on the 2, the 3, and the 4 hour. We're hoping if you want to see new all-time highs, you got to hold this level. If you're looking for all-time highs from here, you are hoping for a flip of support, and then you got to get out of this volume profile, and you pretty much have to have all this money flow completely fake out back into the green. Can't be my base case, guys. I got to go with what's on the chart, just like yesterday. So I'm rooting for it. I hope we get the fake out here and the big move up, but the TA is, as always, only data-based, logical information given here on this channel. I'm not just going to give everybody hopium for a push to the upside if I don't see it on the charts. Doesn't mean it can't happen, right? And again, it also doesn't mean I'm not praying for it. But locally, I would say, maybe we get this 4 hour green dot. You got the 3 hour green dot looking to print, the 2 hour green dot looking to print. But again, when it comes to the overall anticipation of the trend here, guys, we would be looking for same thing as yesterday, right? It's like lackluster pushes to the upside, lower highs, and potential lower lows incoming. So the question is, we looked at the golden pocket / value area high here for the lower high to come in on this move up. Where is that lower high likely to come in here? Well, very simply, guys, I am just going to pull our Fibonacci retracements, right? So this retracement was pulled from the high to the low. That has come in, lower high, lower low. So now I am going to pull my local fib from this high to the low. And you can see we do have confluence here on that golden pocket 786 retracement. Bada boom. So if we do get a move up, we can look at this volume profile and say to ourselves, well, hey, maybe we're trying to flip this to support, right? You get back in. If we could hold above this value area low, we could potentially look for that next target. Now, in the premium Discord, our first target here was going to be the value area low because this is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. Right? Again, because of our money flow. If we get in here and we're able to hold above and we get the push up, that makes the next target, obviously within the profile, is going to be the POC, which sits at about 122,733. It's also confluent with your golden pocket. So when I look at this, I say to myself, well, hey, if we get in here, sure, we can get a move to the POC, but we got to be really careful on this Fibonacci golden pocket 786 because if we're going to have that money flow again on the 2 hour, I keep saying that, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, continue to the downside, where's that lower high likely to come in at? Well, it's probably going to come in at that golden pocket 786, just like up here. So that's what I'm looking at. This zone does sit between the POC golden pocket 786, 122,429 to 123,232. That is the next level I'm going to be looking at. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that if we break above this 786, I'm looking for all-time highs because this is not the only resistance on the chart. If we pull it up from the full golden pocket, right, from the absolute high to this low, you can see we still have confluence up here on the value area high. So I would still say the doorway to higher prices here, guys, even if we get above the point of control, I will still just view this as a volume profile, flip the POC, go into the value area high. This is obviously also confluent. I'm going to move this box because this fib is now tapped, so we don't have to look at that anymore. Was important, but now it's not as important. But the now significant Fibonacci retracement I would be looking at is going to be the value area high, golden pocket. That's if we get above the POC, right? First opportunity is going to be on the local fib, right there on the POC golden pocket 786, right? If we get above that and we start pushing up towards the high, you're not quite out of the woods yet because we have this golden pocket and the 786 sitting right here. I would say the doorway to higher prices or all-time highs is not going to be until we work our way through this entire profile, get above this golden pocket value area high. We're getting close, right? Maybe it's just another deviation above the range to reject that golden pocket to come back down. But once you flip that 786, which right now sits at about 124,800, that is the level that we really got to get above, right? And hold, not a quick rip, right? We don't want like a quick wick above here, or we don't want to come up with bearish divergences and money flow coming out that could indicate a deviation for just another rotation of the range, right? Even here, right? It's flipping and holding this level, right? So we got to get up there. We got a lot of work to do here locally, right? Get above here, flip that to support until we get up here with money. And again, you're also expecting money flow to be completely faked out here back into the green. That is where I would look for new all-time highs. But when it comes to a probability perspective, right, I have to, just like anything else we look at, and I love coming back to the previous price action, guys, because again, it's like when you have that money flow coming out, it is going to overall, more often than not, indicate the overall trend, right? It's just very simple. If you're new here, right? If I go into Market Cipher here, I will take off everything except for the money flow. This is just very simply how money flow works and how I personally look at this, right? You have the red and green dots on Market Cipher, which are nice for the ebbs and flows, right? But price moves in waves, right? So we have a red dot, which could push you down. Green dot could push you up. Red dot could push you down, so on and so forth. But it's that money flow that's going to indicate what that overall trend is going to look like, right? So for example, if I just mark this out here, you have a money flow crossover into the green, right? This could indicate, right, you could get pullbacks, but overall, you're going to look for that trend to continue to the upside. And in this case, it would be in the context of the 4-hour time frame. Same thing for the crossovers to the downside. This is how we identify these trends, guys. And anytime you look at this, right, 4-hour money flow crosses into the green, sure, you get red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. But what happens to the overall trend? It is crossing into the green, showing you that, if I were to mark all this out, right, it's showing you that that trend is going to continue in the direction of money flow, right? Same thing here. Money flow crosses into the red. Oh, look, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot. But the overall anticipation here is the continuation of that trend to the downside. And then, not famously, but like back here last week, right? Why were we anticipating the full fill of this range and a potential new all-time high? Look at your 4-hour money flow, right? So pullbacks are looked at as higher lows and higher highs. In this case, I just have to look at the opposite, right? Because what do we have? 2-hour money flow coming out. What does this look like, right? Like, don't take my word for it, right? Check me. Money flow crosses into the green. Well, hey, maybe the trend continues up. Well, hey, if this money flow crosses into the red, what are we anticipating? Maybe a continuation down, especially when you combine it with the volume profiles. It's like, hey, get accepted into this range with money flow coming out. You could look for that continuation for sure, right? Well, I wouldn't say for sure, but, very high probability. Same thing on Ethereum, right? Part of the reason why we thought this would continue down to the POC is because your money flow is coming out. So pretty simple, right? I like to, this is why I use this TA, because I think it's like money flow is just beautiful to identify trends. And then when you start to combine that with the magnetic and very contextual levels of the volume profile, can really help you understand the direction for price. So that's what I'm looking at. We got to hold this level, guys, if we do not want to get that bigger drop down. So yeah, I'm going to come into chat here real quick. We covered the local resistance levels, the local support levels, and the bigger support levels. So I think that's pretty much all I have here as far as an update on Bitcoin, right? Showing the trades, keeping you guys updated on exactly what we're doing here. But, yesterday we talked about that red dot. I talked about this in the market update as well, right? Red dot gives you that first flush to the downside. We also have our 2-day red dot looking to print here as well, right? Doesn't mean bear market is here necessarily, right? But, if that red dot is going to print, right, that red dot on the daily gives you your first drop down, and then you start to retrace. Once that 2-day red dot prints, it could be that second wave that continues that push to the downside. So I'm going to be very careful here. I'm going to continue to hold my short position here and see if we can get the continuation down. If we just scam up and money flow fakes us out, well, we have our long position from below the volume profile and the long position that I am still partially holding from $111,000. So I'm very well hedged here, to be quite honest. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. I would say from a TA perspective, from a probability perspective, if this money flow looked different, I would have a different opinion, right? So yeah, I would say definitely be careful of the lackluster retracements, lower highs, and lower lows. And yes, I say that in the same cadence constantly to help people kind of have it stick in their head, right? Like lackluster bounce, lower high, lower low. Where's the lower highs going to come in at? Probably the golden pocket 786 retracements. So let me jump in here real quick into the chat. Let's see what you guys think. Are we going to zero, guys? What is going on? Are we going to 112K? Is that the bottom right here? Are we ripping up? Let me know what you guys think. Dropping the sauce, Frankie. Get it. Shout out to Jay Jordan. Welcome in, bro. I appreciate you for being here. Let's see. I have 100x short from 90K. I'm starting to get worried about my liquidation. Shout out to Tyler Durden. I think he's joking. I hope he's joking. You would be liquidated on that on 100x. But shout out to Tyler. Hey, sometimes you long the bottom and you'll short the top, and sometimes you short the bottom and long the top. That's the way it goes sometimes. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Welcome in, bro. Guys, show some love to our mods here. I think we got Tyler and Tony running things right now. Darren does things in the chat as well. But show our mods some love, guys. They help us out endlessly with this YouTube channel. And if you love them as much as we do, I don't know, drop some hearts in the chat for the mods. Shout out to Wick589, OG of the Candle Mafia, says, October sucks. Shout out to Wick589. It does suck a little less when you can short it. And shout out to Wick. I know you know how to short it, my man. But yeah, October. Yeah, is October canceled, guys? I don't know. There's not enough here to say, right? At the end of the day, even, again, from a simple Fibonacci perspective here, we look at, take a look at Bitcoin, right? If I'm just looking for this trend to continue, right, we could potentially be on the way down here again between 115.4 all the way down to about 112.4. And again, we do have the volume profile there as well, which extends that zone a little bit. But, if you're looking for a potential, if we do get that continuation down, let's just assume money flow is going to be correct. We're going to get the lower high and the lower low, right? Like, well, I really wouldn't be super, super worried here, right? Because this could just be a macro golden pocket retracement for a higher low and a higher high for a breakup structure. Even if you wick down to that 786, that could still be in the cards. And again, this is why I say that value area low that we talked about right here is so key, because it is the 786 Fibonacci retracement. Once we lose that decisively, right, well, hey, guess what? The idea of the higher low is invalidated, right? And then at that point, I am going to be looking for a break of structure down here, which is very likely going to bring us down to that $107,000 level, which is absolutely critical to look at. And just for fun here, let me pull up the bull market support band and see where this is coming in at. There's actually two things that I like to look at here for the long-term trends. One is the bull market support band, which right now is coming right in on that 786. So, as price comes down, maybe we see this kind of wiggle up in here. Just definitely going to be a huge, huge level to lose. Because, again, at that point, not only are you losing the 786, not only are you losing that value area low, but you're also potentially losing that bull market support band, right, which could give you a bigger drop to the downside. And another thing I do like to look at here, especially on the daily time frame, is going to be the Lux Algo Smart Trail on the higher time frames, is also a pretty good indicator of how low these dips can go. Let me see if I can pull this up, right, which is also coming right in on that zone here. And you can see this daily Lux Algo Smart Trail has been, pretty key. Right, we get the big correction down, we get the bounce, lower low, still hold it, right? We continue bullish, we get another bounce right back here in August for another big move up. We faked out into the red, but now this is back in the green. So I would still say, guys, like just for many, many, many different ways, this is a huge, huge macro level to hold. I would say this is probably the biggest level on the chart when it comes to the high and the medium time frames as of right now. So if we lose this, right, it's kind of similar because losing this would kind of indicate that we're probably going to break below 107K, which we all know is the kind of huge level that we don't want to lose. Get accepted in here, right? Well, yikes. That's going to be a much more bearish case for Bitcoin, in my opinion. And we do have some other levels we can look down there, a little bit more granular, but we'll cross that bridge if and when we have to get there. So even from just a simple perspective, right, I know it gets confusing with all these fib levels, the blue zones, right, because you do want to understand where all the confluence is, but even if we just clean up all this stuff, right, I'll even take off the I'll take off pretty much everything that is not a volume profile here. I'll get rid of the fib, right? We're just simply playing around with these ranges, right? Is this a deviation above before acceptance and a bigger drop down? Well, if we lose that, it's probably going to indicate that bigger drop down. Same thing here. We wind up losing this level, guys. Like, I don't really want to get accepted into those volume profiles, right? It's okay to retest the range highs to continue up, but once you start losing that, it becomes a little bit more probable, especially if your money flow is coming out for that bigger drop down. Now, if we did come down there, just for what it's worth, right? If we did come down here and we wind up coming into our $104,000 786, for, once we get down there, if the money flow looks really good and it looks like this could be a higher low, then I will look for that, right? But, I would have to guess if we come down here, money flow is going to look pretty bad, in which case I would be saying, don't get out of here. Probably looking for a much bigger drop down. But again, we're very far away from that. This anchored VWAP is probably going to work its way up as well. This anchored VWAP is pulled from about $75,000. So, as price kind of moves around, maybe we can get this to wiggle up towards the value area low, which again is going to be very close to where that bull market support band is. Right, it's going to be very close to where that Lux Algo Smart Trail is that we just brought up. Where's it at? Bada boom, right? We'll pull it up on the daily, right? So it's like, this is a huge, huge level, guys. Like, we wind up losing this level. I'm not loving it. But again, we're very far away. It's plenty of time to bounce. I wouldn't say I'm worried about that just yet, but just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a view into the future of what we can expect if we start losing some of those key levels. So just very simple. Just viewing this as a volume profile, even if you take off the local level, right? It's like, okay, I'm fine with this, right? Once we lose here, it's like, man, right? You got your fib levels, you got your value area. And then this is kind of like, all right, guys, please bounce, because once you mess around down here, it starts to get a lot sketchier on the long term. So there you go. Let's see. I feel like we need to take out the liquidity around 116.4 to 118K. Just kind of makes sense. Shout out to David, 116K. Where are we at? Let me pull up a little bit of a lower time frame here. So yeah, I mean, listen, we probably do have a lot of liquidity sitting down here. So, it would make a lot of, it would make sense if we came down there, swept out some of that. Maybe we, sweep that liquidity into that golden pocket retracement that I just brought up, right? Maybe we come sweep it into that golden pocket and hopefully hold there, right? But again, right, the context here is just a little difficult for me, right? Could you just bounce out here? Sure. But again, if money flow is coming out, if we're stuck below that POC and the value area high, I would still say 786 would be what I would prefer. Doesn't mean they have to give it to me, all right? But I would always prefer to come down to that value area low, right? People would be pretty scared here. They'd be like, oh my God, Bitcoin's back down to 112. Like, this is bad. But again, it all depends on what money flow and market cipher is going to be saying down here. If it looks good, we can look for the bounce. If not, I'd probably view it as a scalp, lower highs and lower lows to come. But, we'll keep you guys updated there as the price action develops, as we have new information. Just another day here, guys, with the nail biter. All right, let's see here. I want a bigger drop down. Shout out to Tyler Durden. I kind of don't have a preference here. I guess my preference would be, I would say the TA probably points more towards the bigger move down. But yeah, I'm pretty well hedged here. I really wouldn't mind either direction. I already got profits locked in on the long from 111K. Only thing I would do here is get stopped out of my long, local scalp long at break even. But again, my short will continue to pay me out there, so I am covered. So my ideal scenario, guys, would be maybe a push into that golden pocket, lock some profits in on the long, right? Even if I stop out of that long in profit, have the short pay me out to the golden pocket 786, maybe add to the long position for the bigger move up. Obviously very speculative there, hard to call that long-term move that, accurately, but that would be kind of nice. Let's see. CME gap incoming, bear market coming. Shout out to Beetlejuice. He's coming here to start the bear market, guys. Shout out to Beetlejuice. I don't know exactly what CME gap you're talking about. I know a lot of people, when they talk about the big drops to the downside, they're talking about that CME gap down here in the low 90s. I'll be honest, guys, I would probably not be viewing that. Again, context dependent. we come down here, guys, I would have to assume high time frame money flow is coming out. And, I did cover the, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I covered a little bit more of the bearish case because I just think like most people cover the bullish case. Not a lot of people even talk about the bearish case. So I like to keep you guys informed on both ends of the coin because not only can we make money when price goes down, but it's also pretty important to understand that price doesn't always have to just moon to the upside forever, right? And very rarely does it just go up in a straight line forever. It always comes back down. And that's why I kind of try to give you guys the context of like how low can we go before we start to worry, right? I'd be okay with a drop down here before another move up. But once we start losing that, it looks a lot more bearish. And if we did get, just for example, this is very far away if it were to even happen. If we got a fill of this CME gap, I think a lot of people would be very bullish, being like, oh my God, the CME gap is filled. Like, send it back up, right? But if high time frame money flow is coming out at this point, right, meaning like the 5-day, the 6-day, the weekly, right? If we have all that high time frame money flow coming out at that point, right? Like, could this be a place where you can get a higher low and a higher high? Sure. I mean, it's also your golden pocket retracement, perfectly confluent with that level, right? But here's the thing. If money flow is coming out on the weekly, say, if we see something like this as you're coming down, weekly money flow is looking across into the red, I'm viewing that as a macro lower high for a macro lower low and potentially the start of the bear market, very similar to what we had happen here. Again, I know I cover this a lot, but I think it's important, right? Golden pocket 786, sure, that's an area where you can look for a higher low and a higher high, but money flow is not pointing for that, right? It's pointing towards a lower high and a lower low. If that is the case that we see when we come on down to that macro golden pocket, CME gap, value area low, I would have to say, right, like, sure, you could bounce there, but if that money flow is coming out, guys, looking more like a lower high and a lower low. But again, this is far away. I don't want to talk about this. Nothing about this pullback is making me think that we're going down there just yet, right? But, on down days, people start to feel really bearish, so just understand that. We'll see, right? Well, hopefully money flow looks great there, but if I had to try to front run it, I would have to assume money flow is coming out on the higher time frames. That's why I do not want to lose this level. That's why losing 107K is just like, ugh, we lose that, guys. It's just and something I do not want to do. So have that level marked down on your chart, $107,000. Do not want to lose that level. The bear market, you will get, the best bear market you will get was the drop down to 74K. Shout out to Eric. Yeah, and again down here, guys, right? Like, not in the camp that this was the bear market, right? Very explicit about that on the channel. As a matter of fact, we were literally had to fight the crowd there, right? Because we were getting massive bullish divergences. We were still earlier enough in the cycle to see new all-time highs come in. It just gets a little sketchier down here up here, just because of the timing of the cycles. I cover this literally every day. So I'm going to cover this for like 4 seconds, right? Looking at your cycle chart here, right? Like, we are just way later in the cycle at this point. Could we see something totally different where the cycle extends and, we rip into 2026? Maybe, right? But I'm not usually a fan of this time is different because more often than not, this time is not different. This time is different. Golden bull run, 500K, 200K, 100K. Didn't get close, right? It's probably going to be the same thing up here if we see that parabola come in. So, yeah, just another nail biter here, guys. Come on, Bitcoin. Make a move. Make a decisive move. Preferably up. But if it does make, just do something here. Tell us what you're going to do. Give us a sign. Give us a sign, Bitcoin. Give us a sign. Let's see. Hit Panda the Profits at 48K will be here before you know it. This market is going to do what it does anyway. Pump it, baby. Shout out to Crimson. Yeah, and at the end of the day, guys, we can only make our best educated guesses, and although those educated guesses are right, I would say dang near 80% of the time, you always have to be prepared for something crazy to happen in the market, right? Like, one day you might just wake up and this thing is flushing to the downside, and it's like, what the heck was going on? And then it was this news, right? But more often than not, when that news comes out, there's usually warning signs way earlier than that on the charts. So we'll see what happens. Praying for up. Alts go to zero. So speaking of altcoins, guys, again, Bitcoin dominance, same situation here. Lines are still drawn. Daily money flow crossing into the green here on Lux Algo, but if we pull up Market Cipher, money flow also looking to cross into the green. And we talked about this all the way back here when we saw these divergences forming. Probably going to get a bounce on dominance. This means Bitcoin will outperform altcoins, right? So, I still wouldn't view this as like a massive bearish case, right? Like, at the end of the day, when we see this retracement up, right, this is just price action. You have a high, a low, a lower high, lower low, lower high for another potential lower low. And the reason I would anticipate that, you might look at this and be like, why are you looking for a lower high and lower low if daily money flow is coming into the green? Well, it's because this daily money flow might just fuel the retracement, right? If we see this money flow come into the green on the daily, right, that would obviously assist this move into that lower high zone. But when we look at the 2-day, with the money flow still in the red here. When we look at the 3-day with the money flow still just freshly crossing into the red here, the longer term trend, right? The 3-day is much higher time frame than the daily, right? So maybe that daily money flow gives you the push up here. But when we're, I would still be looking for a lower high to potentially come in here for another lower low to come. So again, like when we say alt season is loading, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen today or tomorrow. As a matter of fact, when this pushes up, I would expect Bitcoin to outperform the altcoins. But it doesn't override, I should say, that longer-term idea of potentially seeing that bigger downtrend continue. Once we get above this 786, you kind of come up into the last zone that I would like to see tested. This will be a little bit more brutal, but this would really be the level that we would need to reject, right? If we get above this, I mean, it's starting to look pretty bearish, right, for altcoins at least. So we'll see what happens, right? We still got a little ways to go here, but, I'm just going to leave this on the chart because this has been my anticipation, and I just don't think there's no reason to look at this to be invalidated just yet, right? So we'll see. Daily money flow still coming up, so I would say chances of this continuing up here are still in the cards. So there you go. Do you agree that if that move from 108K to all-time high was healthier, talking about all the stops we left behind, you wouldn't be as worried today? I mean, at least you'd have more conviction. Shout out to Grumpy. If the move, let me pull up Bitcoin here. If the move from 108K, not necessarily, honestly, right? Like, I kind of like how impulsive this move was. Because again, right, like, sure, you probably have a lot of stops sitting down here, a lot of liquidity that honestly could turn into a big flush, right? Probably would honestly look something like that, the actual price action, right? You might tap around resistance or support, right? You hold the 786, but then eventually once you start flushing that stuff out, you might start to see a bigger drop to the downside in an aggressive manner. But here's the thing, right? You still have the golden pocket in the 786, so I wouldn't look at this as like this would be kind of a healthy correction, right? Flush out some of that liquidity, put in a higher low and a higher high potentially. So I don't know if that would really, I kind of like that this was a strong move up. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it gives you some insight. And we will take a look at the altcoins as well, guys. I'm going to start with Ethereum. Yeah, shout out to, and that's another thing you have to think about as well. More rate cuts coming in October. Big pump. Yeah, so, that's another thing, right? We have the looser monetary policy. And I know sometimes, guys, when I come up here and I talk about the bull market not just beginning, right? I think a lot of people, if we go into new all-time highs, and by new all-time highs, I don't mean the fake outs here, right? Like fake out, right? I mean like true new all-time highs. I talk about that kind of, potentially being that last leg up to finish up the bull market, get Bitcoin to put in that all-time high. Hopefully we get the liquidity to flow back into the altcoins. That is, it's what you would hope for, right? And like the looser monetary policy is something to keep an eye on. Who knows, right? Like maybe we get into FOMC, they start cutting more aggressively, right? Like we'll have to take that information as it comes. And yeah, I would still say above 107K, I think there's a possibility of that being the case, right? Like maybe they start cutting rates. I forget the exact date. Obviously, we have a FOMC meeting this month. Is it the 20? I don't know, 19th maybe or something like that. I don't know exactly the date. Someone could drop the next FOMC date. Maybe they cut more aggressively and it winds up being like gives you a big pop to the upside. It really depends on how it develops over time. But again, stay above 107K. I think, new all-time highs could be coming, right? Like even if you get that bigger flush down, higher low, higher high, it could be something that we see. Even throughout this entire bull market, guys, like, the price action has been very kind of, to me, very technical, very clean, very, predictable, right? We obviously were expecting the drop down to $80,000 to $75,000 when we were up here, right? Because we knew we had all that liquidity, but we also knew that we had our golden pocket 786 retracement sitting right down here for a potential higher low and higher high to come, which is what we saw, right? So, but that's kind of how price action's been moving, right? It's like you kind of get the new all-time high, you get the fake out, you come sweep out the liquidity before finally coming back up. So it could just be very choppy. I think a lot of people are just, just waiting for like those Lambo candles to come in. And I think maybe they will come at some point. But, you do have to be careful. I wouldn't be super freaked out if we see something like that come flush out that liquidity and then send it back up. Because I think a lot of people felt like they missed the move down here because, it's a pretty scary drop, right? You get to 107K, we come back down to almost revisit that level, but there's a 786 down there. Maybe people aren't looking at that, and they missed the long position. Like they just kind of funnel in on those pushes to the upside. So sometimes those late longs like to get punished. But yeah. I don't want to really focus too much on the long term here, guys. Very, very difficult to call. Until we break 107K, that's where I really start worrying about the macro. Until then, it could just be continuation of the overall uptrend. Mrs. Candles coming on into the studio. Come on in here, Mrs. Candles. We're going to need a little pump. Can we get that hand? Can I sniff that hand? Can I sniff that hand? Mrs. Candle. Okay, she's on the floor. She's on the floor. She's under the desk. Whoa, okay, Mrs. Candles, calm down. Whoa. Can we see the hand? Mrs. Candles, please. I'm live, Mrs. Okay, all right. Whoa, Mrs. Candles. Okay, I'm live, Mrs. Candles. Calm down. Whoa. Let me see that hand. You're gonna have to come. Up a little bit more. Up a little bit more. Up a little bit more. Oh, there's the hand. All right, guys. Now we can pump. Mrs. Candles hands in the chat if you have those emojis. If you have a membership, drop that Mrs. Candles hand in the chat if you want Bitcoin to pump. Come on, baby. Hand action under the desk. Good Lord, Mrs. Candles. This is a G-rated channel. Don't be climbing under the desk like that, you dang floozy. You dang floozy. I'm just kidding, Mrs. Candles. You're adorable, and you're a very nice, innocent young lady. But anyway, let's continue on. Dang hand sniffers. Chill, Mrs. Candles. Hey, Jack said chill, Mrs. Candles. Come on. She crawled away, guys. I got her out of there. But anyway. Top indicator. Jack, it's a top indicator. Oh, God. Was that a sign of the top? Oh, God. All right, Mrs. Candles. Don't get snarky. Mrs. Candles. I don't know why she's crawling around on the floor, guys. She's being really weird. She never does this. All right, and she's out of here. She's crawling out in epic fashion, and she's making a run for it and just threw something at me. All right. 110K CME gap. Perry says, let's see. The Mrs. Handles can. The Mrs. Handles cans? The Mrs. Candles hands crack me up, guys. Do we wait for money flow to definitively cross over, or do we front run it? Shout out to Kenchi. That's a great question, bro. And I'm going to give you the exact answer in just a second, but I just want to see 110K. I can see that potentially happening because if we pull this, right, 786 value area low is obviously the very significant level we don't want to lose. But remember, guys, you can wick, potentially hang out down there before reclaim very slightly. I would not want like high time frame candle closures like dailies and weeklies down here, obviously. But when we look at this, I do believe we have a weekly MPOC down there as well. So, and that comes at about 111. So I'll just tell you kind of what I would look for down there, right? So like if we did wind up getting the bigger drop down, right, like maybe you get like a sweep into that 110K CME gap, but it would still need to be like a quick reclaim before that push up. If you wind up like filling that gap and then losing it, again, going to be a little bit more bearish. Whether you're looking at the Fibonacci retracements, the value area levels, the MPOCs, like this is just generally that area, I would say, between about 112K you just don't want to lose. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That is important. But money flow, when it comes to money flow here, guys, at the end of the day, right, I think, shout out to Crypto Face. I think he always talks about how, it is beneficial to try to front run the money flow, right? Because again, it is just trying to identify trend, right? So it's like, this money flow continuing up here. If you enter in down here as money flow is kind of, I think, CryptoFace breaks it into like quarters. That last quarter of money flow, if you're expecting that to eventually cross over into the green, that's typically where you would potentially look for the entry, right? Because you're already kind of getting the signal here because you're looking at the trend on money flow. Money flow trending up like this, especially after a nice clean wave, could indicate that you're probably going to get a crossover into the green soon, right? Now, it's a little different if you fake out into the red and then back into the green. That's a little different. I wouldn't be viewing this money flow crossover as significant. I would just look at that as a continuation of the trend. So when it comes to front-running money flow, yes, you can get a better entry by sniping that kind of last quarter of the money flow, right? So your entry would have been somewhere down here. And then if you wait for the crossover, right, you've already gotten one pop up. And then, still a decent place to look to enter to fill that profile and expect the trend to continue up. But your entry is just not as good. Now, that comes with a trade-off, right? Like, at the end of the day, if that money flow is, if you enter before the money flow crosses over, you're technically entering before the signal occurs. So it's a little bit riskier down here, but if you want to risk it for the biscuit, you're probably going to get a better entry. And when you get good at reading money flow and identifying, like, again, this is a nice big red wave, in my head, right, I'm starting to think, like, it's probably time to cross into the green to at least get some kind of push to the upside. So, yeah, you could try to front run it, but just understand, like yesterday, this is a perfect example. Yesterday I was talking about this 45-minute money flow crossover into the green, potentially indicating a little bit more of a push up. And if I come back into bar replay mode here, where was it? Yeah, like right here was where we were on the live stream. I'll pull it back into bar replay, right? Like right here, you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, well, hey, I have a 45-minute money flow looking to cross over into the green. And at the time, the 12-hour green dot or VWAP was coming up, right, looking for a green dot. And that's a market cipher B116 strategy, which typically indicates a big move up. Now, yesterday was a little specific because we had mixed signals, right? Obviously, my bias based off medium time frame money flow was a lackluster pump for lower highs and lower lows. But if you're, for example, just for argument's sake, right, if you're, we were looking for this 45-minute money flow. If you were going to get another pop to the upside, that was probably the thing to look for. And if you tried to front run this, well, guess what, right? Like, you actually don't get the money flow crossover. It fakes out into the green and never closes up there. And then what happens, right? That signal's no longer there. Money flow comes back out. And that's a situation where, it wouldn't have been a great entry. But more often than not, if you have a lot of confluence pointing in one direction, it's always going to be contextual, right? We had mixed signals yesterday, so I probably wouldn't have tried to front run this money flow crossover. But sometimes you have multiple things pointing in the same direction, and there's situations where you'd be better off front running than rather than waiting for the actual crossover. So both are correct. One's just going to get you a little bit of a later entry, but arguably a safer entry, and one's going to get you a little bit more of an aggressive, better entry at the risk of being a little bit more of a risky entry. So that's kind of the question you have to ask yourself. So there's a perfect situation of front running the money flow not working out, but the one I showed you before was a situation of it actually working. So it's always going to be contextual. So hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Shout out to Khan, said Bitcoin's made new all-time highs. Honestly, he said Bitcoin has made 5 new all-time highs in the last 6 months, and alts have done nothing. Yeah, shout out to Khan. Arguably, Bitcoin's been making new all-time highs ever since down here, and most alts are kind of just sitting there. It's obviously been a Bitcoin-focused run so far. But I do want to take a look at the altcoins as well, guys. I'll jump into Ethereum. We'll take a look at XRP, Solana, all the big boys, and then we'll take some free requests from the chat. Quick reminder, please do not super chat your altcoins. It does not guarantee that we will take a look at it. You know the spiel. Somebody fill them in if somebody is like, what? I want to super chat my altcoin. Fill them in, guys. Let's see. Shout out to Khan, said it's pointless charting Bitcoin. Shout out to Khan. I would have to strongly disagree with that. We have made a ton of money charting Bitcoin here. Shorting the high, longing the low, shorting the high, longing the low, even though I should have gotten liquidated on that position. Still technically in that, right? Longing the low. Shorting the high, got stopped out. And again, just full transparency, guys. Had the setup to short the all-time high and did short the all-time high here. But again, I got stopped out at break even and then re-entered. Still short there. So I would have to strongly disagree with that, Con. Charting Bitcoin is one of the most profitable things you could possibly do. But when it comes to long-term stuff here, I guess I see what you're saying. It's just like super choppy. What the heck? It's super bipolar. What the heck is this thing going to do? I would say long-term it has been a little bit more difficult. But, hey, if we could get those small moves and make some money on those small moves, I'm in. I'm in. But anyway, let's see. More dump this weekend. Shout out to J Squad. Flexing the check mark. Potentially. Money flow would be pointing towards that. Okay, so let's take a quick look at Ethereum, and then I'll jump into Solana and XRP. We already went over Bitcoin dominance, so let's take a look here. So Ethereum, right? Let me actually pull it up on this chart because this is what we were looking at yesterday. So again, just from a general perspective here, guys, deviation above the high, right? So overall general anticipation here based off the volume profile. Deviation above, just like yesterday, lackluster bounces, lower highs and lower lows, targeting that next major target within the range, which is the POC. We have now tapped that, and we're now getting a bounce. Is this the bottom? Well, I would be inclined to say probabilistically, probably not, right? Because, again, the fulfill this volume profile would lead to another move back down to the value area low. Obviously, this is not a guarantee. But when we look to flip the low, go to the POC, go to the high, right, this is oftentimes the case, right? Just showing history, continuing to respect the volume profiles. So I would say we could definitely get a continued bounce here on Ethereum. We have the 3-hour green dot printing. We have the 4-hour green dot looking to print. But what is your money flow doing? And we all know what money flow indicates, which is the overall anticipation of the trend. So if we get that green dot, the green dot could indicate an ebb or flow to the upside for a potential lower high and lower low to eventually fill that profile in full. This would be what money flow is pointing to. It's also within the context of the volume profile. That key level to the downside sits here on the golden pocket value area low at about 42.02 down to 41.43. That's the next target. Yesterday it was here. Now we're sitting there. The next target, if we do get another lackluster bounce, lower high, lower low, which would be the anticipation based off money flow here, that would be the next target. Underneath that, we have the macro 786 sitting at about $4,080, and then the full 786 pulled from the low to the high sitting at about $4,000, right? This is the level we don't want to lose. If we lose this, well, guess what? I'm going to be looking down to the next big, number one, higher low for a higher high is invalidated, and I'll be looking to crack structure to the downside here, potentially targeting your value area high down here at 35.30. Now, let me see, let me actually pull this, and I'll talk about the resistance levels above in a second if we are going to put that lower high in. But let me see, let's pull out the bull market support band here. Where does this sit on Ethereum? All right, so it's not quite at the value area high. Bull market support band currently sitting at 37.32. So this is something that you could keep an eye on. Maybe it winds up, it depends on what happens here. If we wind up going sideways here forever and this, winds up moving up potentially, right? Maybe this becomes confluent with the 786. Too soon to call for that. I was kind of hoping this was going to be perfectly confluent with that value area high. But volume profile-wise, 35.30 is that next value area high, which is a huge level for Ethereum. I personally don't want to lose this level. Again, we're very far away from it, have opportunities to continue the uptrend here. But once we lose this, right, we just have to say to ourselves, we have value up here, and then we have our next major volume profile sitting down here. So when price impulse is out of this volume profile, if we lose this range, it's probably going to start gravitating towards that value area high. Very simple, right? So yeah, I think the bull market support band is a free indicator too. If you just search bull market, I don't know who makes this. Give ZK Dev. You just get this on your chart. It's free. So yeah, I would keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, I would say that from the volume profile perspective, right, you have the 35.30 level, which is that macro value very high, which is a huge macro level of support. So there you go. That's what I'll be looking at on Ethereum. 4-hour money flow coming out. 5-hour money flow starting to trend to the downside. But again, these green dots are going to come in short term for a potential bounce. Now, if we get that bounce, how high can we go before we can say, well, hey, this is actually starting to look a lot better. Maybe we can look for new all-time highs. And very simply put, guys, full fib from this entire move down that we saw, high to low, golden pocket 786. Golden pocket sits between, and there are kind of two levels here, right? Because we could pull this fib as well. So I'll mark these out as zones. These are the two major areas I would be looking at. $4,500, $44.97 to $44.43 is going to be the first retracement. I don't know if this pop-up is going to push us into here, and we're going to get the lower high and lower low to continue through the profile, or if we're going to go up for those bigger Fibonacci retracements, which the next golden pocket sits at about 45.72, and the 786 is perfectly confluent with that value area high. So if I'm looking for lower highs and lower lows, this is the first area that I'm looking at. And the way I handle this, a lot of people would be like, well, if you don't know if it's going to come in here or here, how do you know which one to expect the drop from? Well, number one, it's like if we wind up pushing up here and we just start printing our 4-5-hour green dot, our 6-hour green dots, we could say to ourselves, well, hey, there's no bearish confirmations up here. I'm going to let this continue up. And then the next place to look is going to be on that next golden pocket 786 retracement. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete the previous level that we looked at, which was obviously right here on this 786, which wound up giving us the drop. I'm actually going to take that off now because we've already rejected that level, and the new level really becomes the value area high to the golden pocket, right? So local level sitting here on the local fib, but beyond that, right, this is the highest that I would like to come, right, specifically into that value area high. Once we start flipping this, and again, it's not just a deviation for a push back in. We want to see an aggressive push above here, and depending on the timing of this, you would want high time frame candle closures below that. Once we start holding that 786, we could say to ourselves, well, hey, and again, you would have to expect fake outs on money flow. Again, like, you would have to expect that 4-hour money flow is just going to scam back up into the green. You would have to expect that 3-hour money flow is going to just scam back into the green. So this is not my base case that we're going to shoot up here, flip the 786, and push into new all-time highs. But at the end of the day, that is the line in the sand. So yeah, I would say this sits at about 46.56. You got to get above there, and you really want to hold it and really start pushing up sooner than later, right? Because other than that, if we don't get that, right, it could just be another deviation before a push back down. So that's the zone to get above. Biggest level of resistance on Ethereum, 45.70 to 46.54. Until we get above there and start holding, I'm going to be anticipating the potential lower highs on the local fib or the potential lower highs on this bigger fib, eventually targeting the value area low. Hopefully we could just scam up, guys. I hold a lot of Ethereum. Hopefully we could just scam up. But, volume profiles are goated. So we'll see what happens. And again, it's very in line with money flow. It's the same thing here, right? If I were looking for a massive rip up here, right, What is the level up here that you have to break above, right? It's the same exact thing, right? Price action is just always going to give you the same stuff, right? I would say, hey, this would be where I'm looking for the lower high and the lower low. Golden pocket, 786 value area high. Not just like a push into them to be like, oh my God, we're breaking out. You have to get above them and hold them, right? Other than that, right, what is money flow doing here? It's crossing out. So I'm looking for lackluster pump, lower high, lower low. It's the exact same situation. The exact same situation. You can get the pump. People are like, what the heck? We're pumping. I thought it was bearish, right? And then you wind up doing one of these. So that's what I'd be looking at. And I will just pull this up as well. Whoops. So these are the two local zones, or two zones that I would be looking at on Ethereum. I'm okay pushing above this. That does not change my context. It's not until we flip that upper 786 here. So we'll see. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to look at the fibs, you just want to look at the volume profiles to keep things nice and simple, well, guess what? Until you break out of this value area, it's not looking like we want to continue up, right? I would expect lower highs, lower lows to fill the profile in full. And then typically people will get very scared down here, like, oh my God, it's going to zero. And if we see the signs to look for the long, we'll long that thing at the value area low. So that's my thoughts on Ethereum. Money flow, money flow, money flow, money flow, money flow, guys. All right, let's see. We'll take a look at Litecoin. Shout out to Megan says, how are we broke when Frankie gives us the moves? Shout out to Megan. I talk about this all the time. This is why I don't have a signals group, right? I have a premium Discord, but it is not a signals group. I spoon feed my trade ideas and my trade setups. I do not tell you buy here, sell here, right? Some people would argue that I do that because I do put the setups on the chart, but I'm never telling you buy at this exact level, sell at this exact level. I won't go into I usually bring up the Discord and show you guys what I do. But here's the thing, right? Somebody could tell you, and I'm going to answer this question, right? Because someone can tell you, hey, I think price is going down. I was talking to my sister about this earlier because she called me to ask me about Bitcoin. She was like, what should I do? But I kind of told her, right? Like, at the end of the day, someone could tell you, hey, like yesterday, right? Like, hey, we're looking for lower highs and lower lows into the POC. Perfect move into that POC, right? And just because someone tells you what's going to happen, and it's not guaranteed ever. Never take this as financial advice, guys. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. It's a fact of the matter. It's why risk management is the most important part, right? Like, but at the end of the day, someone could tell you price is going to go up. That doesn't give people, right, the confidence to actually take a position. It doesn't give the people confidence or the competence to take profits on the way up, right? So, like, at the end of the day, someone can tell you if it's going up or down, but traders still need to make those decisions, number one, to actually take the position. And number two, they also have to have the wherewithal to understand they have to manage that position, take their profits, move their stop loss, protect their capital. So, you know, I could take the same trade as somebody else, and I could make money, and they could lose money, taking it off the same signal, the same setup, the same TA. It really comes down, most of the success of trading comes down to discipline and risk management. So it's kind of funny because a lot of people think, like, if someone just tells me when to buy, I'll be able to buy and make a bunch of money. But the question is, do you know where to take profit? Do you know the context? I could say buy here, I think Ethereum's going to go up. Like, a lot of people say, are you bearish or bullish? Right? Like, arguably, if we have a green dot printing here on the 4 and 3 hour, I could say I'm bullish because I think it's coming up. But that does not change the overall thought process of a lower high and a lower low. I'm playing the intricate moves, right? And I'm not trading Ethereum right now, but if I long down here, I'd be taking in profit here, moving my stop loss, or potentially closing the whole trade if I see a reason to flip short here because of the context, the overall money flow. But if someone just hears, oh, bullish, up, and they buy, if they don't know where the context of the market, they're just going to hold this, hoping it goes up forever, and then they're going to get wrecked on the way back down. So, you know, it is a little bit, it is kind of funny, right? Because, you know, this is why I always say, like, signals aren't really very effective, right? Because it's not the signals that make you money. It's not the strategy that is the base of making money. It's protecting your capital and managing the trades, which is the real difficult part of trading that takes a long time to actually learn. It took me a long time, right? So yeah, hopefully that helps you out. But let's see. The top of the market is close. Shout out to Enrique. That is pretty much how I feel, right? I do think if the top is not in already, which I think if we stay above 107K, I think we could still see new all-time highs. But I do think it's closer than a lot of people think, right? Again, it's that euphoria. If we see that euphoria come in, just get ready, guys. Everything on Twitter, everything on YouTube is going to be moon, 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 which might be true, right? You might even see me do that. It might be true. But I will not be sitting here and saying this is the start of the first different bull run where we go up 5,000% from after, like, towards the end of the cycle, right? I would still be in the camp that this is probably going to wrap up sooner than later, even if we go into massive new all-time highs. And I hope that's wrong, right? And if there's something on the charts to make me change my mind there, I will. right? And don't get upset, right? Like there's still tons of excitement to happen, right? And there's still tons of opportunity on the altcoins. But again, I was talking to my sister earlier today, and it's just like, could I tell somebody that this is a good time to buy Bitcoin? I mean, just from a logical perspective, you were literally buying Bitcoin at the most expensive it's ever been, right? So is this a good entry point? I mean, logically, not really. Does it mean it can't go up from here? No. But for me personally, I've been telling people, never just copy what someone tells you, right? Because I could be wrong. Maybe this goes up to $1 million tomorrow. Who knows? But again, obviously, that's not the anticipation. So it's like, everybody's in a different situation. I'm in from down here. I would not be upset taking some profit here and watching Bitcoin go up to 150K and then taking more profit, right? I'm not going to be upset that I took profit early and missed out on this little move to the upside. I've already capitalized on a lot of this bull run. And again, from a timing perspective, you just have to kind of picture where you are in the cycle, which is pretty much coming towards the end. So, food for thought. But anyway, we took a look at Ethereum. Let's take a quick look at Solana, or Solanzo, as our boy James Kramer would say. Let me take a sip of that Aztecian and Cactus Mosswater. Shout out to Lucia for the super chat, bro. Thank you so much. He says, you notice the new weekly SFP pointing at 107K. Shout out to Lucia. Let me go ahead and pull up the weekly here. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's kind of similar to what we saw happen up here potentially, right? This is a much more bearish candle, right? This is kind of like a bear hammer, right? Big wick on top, little body at the bottom. These are often signs of reversals. But yeah, I mean, like even here, right? You get the all-time high, weekly SFP of the all-time high, big old correction. Here, we pretty much have the same similar setup, right? You get the SFP of the high, but here's the difference, right? Like this is a much more bearish candle. This is a very nice, big old green hunk boy, right? So I wouldn't say it's exactly the same, but yeah, I mean, from a binary perspective, this is a weekly swing failure, right? Wick above, candle closure down below, next candle printed, it is confirmed. So yeah, and not every SFP is going to play out as you would expect. This one's just a little bit more obvious just because it was such a bearish candle. Even here, right, same thing. Weekly SFP, wick above, candle closure down below, bearish weekly close, reversal, right? So it does look a little different. This is a nice strong move up. But you're definitely seeing that correct. That is definitely a weekly swing failure pattern. Let's see. Shout out to Danny Boy. Says, everyone who bought last bull market, bet last bull run top is in gains now. Stop the cap. Shout out to Danny. That is true. I actually said that to my sister today because she was like, should I be trying to buy the tops and sell the bottoms? I'm like, listen, you're a dang veterinarian. You got a full-time job. You got a family. You got all this stuff, right? Like, you're not going to be sitting here on the charts trading aggressively, right? So, and I told her, I said, anyone who's ever bought Bitcoin at all-time highs eventually winds up in profit. If you bought Bitcoin at 69K, guess what? You were up massively right now. If you bought Bitcoin at the top here and you just did not sell and held long enough, you are in profit. So that is absolutely factual. But again, is it more beneficial to maybe take some profits on the bull run, wait for the bear market, and then reaccumulate so you can reinvest, right? Or, at least just make a way for some profits. Everyone's got a different plan, right? I'm sure there's some people out there that just buy consistently and never sell. Are they going to make money over time? Yes. Are those people are probably going to outperform most who are trying to buy tops and sell bottoms? Maybe, but not if you're in the CandleMafia. But anyway, let's take a look at Solana here, guys. So obviously, we did get the bounce here from the, barely front ran the golden pocket here. Now we have now tapped into our golden pocket POC zone. Playing around with the anchored VWAP. This level we have been waiting for on Solana for quite some time. Oh my God, are we going to hit it? No. Oh my God, it's going up. We're never going to hit it. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, we're not going to hit it. And then boom, we wind up hitting it, right? So the importance of waiting for your key levels to get tapped. We do have a little bit of a swing failure down here, at least on the 80-minute, 1 hour. 1 hour SFP here as well. So you are coming down into support. This zone does come down a little bit, ending at about 211.13. So this is really an overall zone. I would be okay kind of pushing. I would prefer, honestly, to hold this because I don't want to break down, hit the 786. Could you bounce here? Yes. Do I love that? Not really, because you're below the POC. So this is definitely our key level of support. If we wind up losing this 786, guys, I'm going to be looking for a bigger drop down on Solana, potentially targeting the overall value area low, right? But if we're going to see the full fill of this range from the value area low to the value area high, until we start losing this point of control, you could still look at this as a potential move into the value area high, right? So like what stops that or invalidates that is losing the POC. and the 786, right? Because the POC is the strongest magnet within the profile. Price does oftentimes like to cling to the point of control. You could see here even, right? You get up, back down, back up, right? You come down here, you bounce, and then eventually you lose it. These high volume nodes act as a magnet, so price sticks to them, so it can get a little bit confusing there. So just be aware of that, right? Like you might be able to kind of bing bong around here, which is why I have that 786, right? Get above, below. As long as you don't lose that 786, you could potentially look for the eventual fulfill that profile. We've already gotten it from the high to the low and the low to the high, right? So just to show, just like on Ethereum, just like on Bitcoin, these fills of the volume profile are very likely. And right now we have not filled that range in full just yet. And I believe this Fibonacci retracement is what we were looking at. Was it yesterday? Yeah. So key resistance here, right? Again, because of our money flow, 2-hour money flow in the red, 3-hour money flow coming out, 4-hour money flow also trending out. Why were we looking at this as resistance? Well, if we have money flow coming out and you're expecting a high, low, lower high, and a potential lower low, which technically we did put in there, well, you're going to be looking at your Fibonacci retracement as the area to reject. Beautiful rejection, push into the support level, right? And again, even here, you pretty much, not even pretty much, right? You front ran that golden pocket. You did not tap that golden pocket. More often than not, these do like to get tapped, guys. It's like magic. Not 100% of the time. Sometimes you will miss a position. Sometimes I'll miss a position because I'm waiting for a key level. But I would say 8 out of 10 times you are going to come down and tap those levels. Now, do I think this is the low before pushing back up into the value area high and beyond? What's money flow say, guys? Just same thing as yesterday. Can we push up? Sure. But I would not be looking at that as a massive move up. Right? Why? Money flow is coming out. If I want a massive move to the upside, what do I want to see? I want to see money flow crossing into the green, not crossing into the red. Even the 3-hour, right? Like this is generally trending to the downside, indicating lackluster bounce, lower high, lower low. So that's going to be my view here until proven otherwise, right? And I can get proven otherwise, right? And once that happens, then I could change my bias. But until then, 4-hour money flow tracking out, 3-hour money flow just crossed into the red. This green dot could give us a bounce. Don't forget, we're at support. We have green dots printing, but I would look at lackluster bounces, lower highs, lower lows. And the key levels that I would look at are still going to be, right, I'll just bring this down to the low, right? Still a pretty similar level here between 229.35 and 233.29. And then if we wind up breaking above this level, right, that would be an indication that, hey, maybe we can continue up, back up towards that value area high. Why? Because the lower high is then invalidated, right? If you're looking for the lower high, that's the last place for it to come in at. If you flip it, well, hey, you can look to break structure to the upside, and that is on the side of the volume profile. Money flow is what's pointing against that. So it's conditional. And then arguable mention. Honorable mention. Wow, these are like pretty equal highs. Honorable mention here, right? Locally, just like on Ethereum, you have the local fib and the full fib here. Honorable mention, lower time frame level, 226.92 to 224.53. So if we cook up here, it's like, all right, well, is it looking like we have a lower high? Are red dots looking to print on the medium time frames with money flow continuing out? If so, maybe that's the lower high. If it's looking good and the green dots are fresh and low time frame money flow is coming up, we can look to cook into those next levels. And then if we get the lower high there, well, guess what? Probably looking lower. If we flip it, we can look for the bigger move up. But I would have to say here, based off money flow, the anticipation here has to be potential lower highs for lower lows, potential lower highs for lower lows. If we flip that, then we can change our bias. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Solana. Nice and neat. 2-day red dot also looking to print here, or is printing here on Solana as well, right? The daily red dot gives you that first drop down. Start retracing. That 2-day red dot is going to potentially be that second wave to roll you over. So those are the levels I'm looking at, overall money flow analysis, and what I'd be expecting next on Solana, or Solonzo, as some people like to call it. All right, let's see. Don't forget to smash that like button if you guys like this free technical analysis and the free content we drop here on the channel. Market updates, live streams, tutorials, all the good stuff. And if you're new here, no need to go anywhere else. I mean, you can go somewhere else if you want, but we got pretty much a free trading course here on the YouTube channel. Check out that beginner series. It'll get you up to speed with exactly what we look at here on these live streams. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Bob, says you've got hand. Litecoin, yeah, let's take a look at Litecoin. Everybody wants to see Litecoin. We got to give the people what they want to see. All right, there it is. Absolute moonshot to the upside, which makes a lot of sense within the volume profiles, guys. This is all based off auction market theory and volume profiles, which is essentially auction market theory. Shout out to Creighton C. Is Creighton here today? Creighton, if you're here, can you drop the guy who invented auction market theory? I forget what it was. It was invented a very, very long time ago, guys, by I think his name is Mark, maybe Andrew or Mark. But basically, what it says, guys, is that price is always seeking fair value, and this is why I like to use the market cipher. Well, I like to use market cipher, but this is why I like to use the volume profiles, because the volume profiles mark out the fair value, and this is a perfect example of this playing out. Right? What do we say here as Litecoin starts to break above the value area low? This is your doorway to higher prices. Your DWTHP, your doorway to higher prices. Once you break above this level, the next highest probability area for price to get attracted to is the highest volume node within the profile, which is the point of control. You flip the low, you front run the POC, but you're inside your profile. You can get little, it could be ugly, it could be confusing, but eventually you're going to expect price to eventually get sucked up towards that POC. And furthermore, you can get resistance at the POC, but once you get above that POC, your value area high becomes your next strongest magnet. Bada boom. That's what you look for. And this is why we're able to trade these volume profiles so accurately, right? It's not, I mean, I guess there is some kind of an art to learning where to pull the volume profiles from, but it's just the laws of how price likes to seek out fair value. And the POC is the fairest value. That's why it's the strongest node within the profile. So, very nice. You asked me what happened here. It's like, well, hey, you were above your value area. You were just cooking up into the POC, which is eventually going to be that target. We had our key level of support down here. If we got a bigger retracement, you would really just want to hold above this value area low or potentially the 786, because sometimes it is a little messy. You go back down to retest the value area low before pushing into the POC. But at the end of the day, as long as you remain within the profile, you're going to be looking for that next target. Doesn't matter if you're dumping. Oh, my God. It's not until you lose this range, right, that you would expect lower prices. You can come back down here and tap this. Eventually, you're looking for that magnetic nature of the POC to play out. So I don't know if they got news or what's happening here, but it's just perfectly technical, right? And even if you look at this local profile here, because we have a larger profile pulled back here from January, right, or I should say November, we know, right? Like once we approach this level, even here, right, you get back into the range, you push up towards that POC, you come back down to the low, eventually you get sucked up towards that POC, you barely front run the high. Back down, tap the value area low, little fake out here. You do reverse. It's never going to be 100%, guys. I would never tell you that a volume profile is ever going to be 100%. This is a perfect example. Two perfect examples. A little fake out, back down, back to the POC, right? Bounce off the low. You're thinking, oh, my God, we're going back to the POC. You get a little faked out. But at the end of the day here, more often than not, we are looking for those profiles to fill. So, again, I don't know if it was news or what was going on here, but I would just say that POC was just dying to get tapped here as price was inside the volume profile. Very simple. Take a look at the daily here. Daily green dot printing. I'm sure your 90-minute money flow is looking to come into the green here. So, yeah, I mean, very simply, your next key targets here within the profile are going to be the value area high at 137.02. Could get, and again, this is resistance, right? Wouldn't be surprised if you get a little pullback here. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. VWAP just cooking to the upside there on the 4-hour. Money flow trying to come back out. I wouldn't say this is necessarily an invalidation of money flow trending out just yet, but it's a good start, right? You still need that to come up a little bit more aggressively. Taking a look at the 3-hour VWAP or money flow trying to come back up, not crossing into the green just yet. Money flow trying to come back up on the 2-hour. It's back into the green on the 1-hour. 16-hour green dot also printing. Well, how long? Yeah, so this, I don't know exactly when this started to print, but this is about to print a new candle, so I assume this green dot has been here for a while, and that 1-hour money flow crossover is your market cipher B116. Not that I traded this or anything, but just showing you. 16-hour green dots with a 1-hour money flow crossover. When you have that 16-hour green dot and a 1-hour money flow crossover, usually that crossover on the 1-hour, which is the 1/16th of the 16-hour, hard math there. That is where typically the continuation of that trend occurs. So you've tapped the POC. Just be careful. Definitely at resistance. I would say, like, watch out, 4-hour red dot, but this 4-hour VWAP is cooking to the upside. No signs of a rollover there just yet, but you are tapping resistance, so just be careful. Try to control the FOMO, guys. Try to control the FOMO. But yeah, 137.02 is going to be your value area high, and then your key level support pretty much remains the same here, right? I can extend this Fibonacci retracement a bit Golden Pocket moves up, 786 moves up. I would still say this is the biggest zone to stay above, right? I would be okay coming back down here and tapping this stuff before continuing up. Once you lose the value area low, 786, that's where you can expect a bigger move down. But honestly, even if you don't want to look at the fibs, you're just within your profile. Beautiful rotation to the PLC. As long as you stay within the profile, above that value area low, could continue, even if it's confusing and sketchy, right? Confusing journey, flip that PLC, look to go to the high for a full rotation of that volume profile. So there you go. That's pretty much all I got for you on Litecoin here. Let's check the 2-day VWAP also attempting to roll over here a little bit. Nothing like super, super bearish. 3-day money flow still looks good. This is oftentimes very bullish for altcoins, right? 3-day money flow crossovers typically indicate that the continuation up will happen. 3-day money flow crosses over here. Actually, right here. Right? So at that point, what are you looking for? Higher lows, higher highs, right? And he came down, higher low. You would hope for a higher high here, but you had to get that little slip before continuing up. But I would still say 3-day money flow looks pretty decent here. 4-day money flow, still a little sketchy. Same thing as Bitcoin. It's just very choppy here on the 4-day. 5-day money flow trying to come back up. Nothing really to write home about on the 5-day. 6-day money flow is coming up as well. Green dot printing. Weekly money flow also looks good. So nothing to worry about here, in my opinion, if you do get a pullback, unless you start losing this range. And again, also, you could break these ranges down to many different time frames, right? You could even look at this as a potential volume profile as well. And then what are you looking at here? Actually, even if I pull it here, I'll probably move that value area high up. Not even, right? Even if you're just looking at this local profile, deviation below the low, flip the low, POC into the value area high, and this is a breakout of that value area. So you don't really have to pay much attention to this unless you want to look for levels on the way down, but just to kind of show you, right? Like, doesn't matter what time frame you're looking at. You can pull a small range. You could pull a big range. This was pulled all the way from November of 2024, and it is still having the levels respected. So that's what I would look at on Litecoin. Nice. Shout out to anybody holding Litecoin. I don't hold a lot of Litecoin, but shout out to anybody who is. Nice little pop to the upside. Let's see. Litecoin finally made a move. Shout out to Stupid Bitcoin says, how do all the BTC ATMs actually work? Is it like Spot? Shout out to Stupid Bitcoin. I'm not 100% sure. I've never used a Bitcoin ATM. I believe they charge you a crazy fee. I believe the fees are kind of wild on ATMs. I could be wrong about that. I've never used them. So, yeah, I don't really have an opinion on them, or I don't really even know a lot about how they work. Maybe we should try one. But I would imagine that the fees are probably crazy. It's probably much more advantageous to just buy on an exchange. Let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything up here. Shout out to Jesse. He said Creighton's not here. I checked his YouTube name. Yeah, shout out to Creighton C. Nobody holds Litecoin. Shout out to Megan. All right, should we check out XRP real quick? Where are we at? Let's take a look at XRP. Yeah, there it is, guys. Playing with the 786. This is the level, guys. This is the level. We've been talking about this. If we lose this 786, I'll be honest, I don't want to say it's guaranteed, right? Like, we lose this level and can't get back above it. I'm probably looking for a break of structure to the downside here on XRP. Money flow is coming out on the 4-hour. 5-hour money flow is crossing into the red. 6-hour money flow is crossing into the red. 8-hour money flow crossing into the red. 10-hour money flow in the red. 12-hour money flow in the red. Good Lord. 16 hours still in the green? All right. Still coming out, though, aggressively. So this is kind of a very important level to hold on XRP, guys. We lose this 786. I'll show you a broader perspective here. I mean, I don't want to get accepted back into this range, guys. I'll be honest. At 786, like, we kind of want to hold this and continue up. And money flow is not necessarily pointing towards that being the high probability. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's not pointing towards it being the higher probability. So if we lose that 786, sure, we have a golden pocket here. As a matter of fact, it is confluent with the value area high, but you essentially just want to hold on top of these range highs, right? Like, you do not want to get accepted into this profile. If we lose this value area high, I am very likely going to be looking down towards the 786 POC confluence at 240. And if we lose that, we could be on our way down to about 205 to the value area low. The only other level I would look at is the full golden pocket retracement, which has that 786 at about 228. The reason I don't love this is because if you get down here, it's like, sure, you can bounce off the 786, but you're below the POC. You're below the value area high. And I just have an inclination that, is that the right word? Down to get that move down to the value area low, right? Just because of the magnetic nature of these volume profiles. So that's what I'm looking at, right? Like huge support. I wouldn't say it's necessarily guaranteed over if we lose this, but it is, we're starting to play around with some key levels down there. This is kind of like Bitcoin's $107,000, right? You have this massive range. You get the initial breakout, new all-time high. I'm fine testing this. Before a bigger move up. But the problem here is like what happened? We came down for the retest. We put in a lower high. And money flow is coming out on the higher time frames, right? So it's like we don't really want to see that break of this level. Right, so like hopefully we get 260, maybe 250. Like if we have to slip into this range, but I would not want to hold this. I mean, I would not want to lose it. I definitely want to hold it. So there you go. And then locally, we have obviously the volume profile above that we just talked about. If you do bounce off the 786, you really got to start getting accepted into this profile. But I just really don't like the money flow. Right, it's like you got to get above here to potentially push back into the POC and the value area high. It's like macro value area low is here. Your local value area low is right here, right? So don't want to get accepted down here, and you do want to get accepted up here. And here's that golden pocket between 250 and about 260. I just see this as, if we break down that 786, we're probably coming down here. And this is nice, right? Hey, golden pocket, look for the bounce. But when you look at the higher time frames and you look at that macro value area high, I don't know. You're kind of just bouncing into resistance, which I don't love, especially because of the way money flow looks. I mean, higher time frame, 3-day money flow is still technically in the green. 4-day money flow is looking not great, to be honest. 5-day money flow also not looking great. If I want a massive move up here, what do I want to see? I literally want to see the opposite of this. I want a red money flow wave to cross into the green, plain and simple. So you're again, you're kind of hoping for a complete fake out on money flow here. I hope it happens. It just can't be my base case based off the information. All right, let's see. If BTC goes down, it's taken everything with it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Shout out to Megan. It's what you would expect. Let's see. According to Google, Bitcoin ATM fees range between 7 and 20%. That's crazy. That's out of control. All right, let's take a look. Shout out to Bossman. Said, you made me do it again. Doge, please. You made me do it again, nephew. Shout out to Bossman, guys. That's my Uncle Vinny in chat. My Uncle Vinny with the money knot, with the Italian money knot. Hey, Uncle Vinny, you never told me, what do you do for a living, and why do you always have so much cash on you? He says he whacks people for a living. I don't know what that means, but the only two things I can think of are questionable. Anyway, shout out to Bossman. Yeah, I'll try to take a look at Dogecoin. Quick reminder, guys, please do not super chat your altcoins. Uncle Vinny, I guess, Uncle Vinny's just... he's my uncle. But anyway, I don't have an investment portfolio. I only short and long, and so far it has worked. And look, still have time to buy alt. Shout out to Megan. Yeah. I don't know. The longer this goes on, I have, obviously, guys, I'm a trader, right? So I buy and sell every day. Shout out to the Frankie Candles haircut here. Trading is my earned income, right? So but most of my bag, right? Most of my capital, I would say about, probably like 90% of it is in long-term bags, right? Mostly exposed to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. And then I also obviously hold a bunch of altcoins as well. It's just a smaller portion of my portfolio. But yeah, it's like, it is nice to not have to, just buy in the bear market and just be able to like kind of chill, right? Like that's why these dumps don't scare me, right? It's like, well, hey, I bought my spot down here. I don't care about this dump. I don't care about this dump. I don't care about this dump, right? Not that I don't care about it, right? Obviously, I care about it a lot when it comes to the local trades where we're typically shorting and longing these, very clear volume profiles. But I probably hadn't looked at my spot. Like, it's very rare, right? Like, I think the first time I checked my spot for the most part since the bear market was up here in Q4. So it's like, and I'm like, all right, great. We still have plenty of time for this to continue up. I'm up massively. Now, these dumps are not going to scare me, but it does just get a lot more difficult up here, to be quite honest, because of where we are in the cycle, guys. I have to keep bringing that up. It's getting very close here. Getting very close. Yo, shout out to BTC Bill. Thank you for the $100 super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. He says, Frankie, thank you for what you do. Shout out to BTC Bill. Let's go, bro. Hopefully you're only super chatting $100 because we've helped you make some money here. Shout out to BTC Bill. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate that. $100, man. Let's go. Vinny wears many hats. Shout out to Boss Man. All right, let's take a quick look at Dogecoin here, guys. This is not our Dogecoin chart. Where's our Dogecoin chart? There it is. All right, so, oh, man. Let's take a look. So, obviously, very similar to Litecoin, right? We're kind of just playing around with this volume profile. Based off the volume profile, I would say you're above the value area low, right? Next likely place for price to go is the POC. Of course, you get the sketchy, confusing price action. But at the end of the day, you're pretty healthily within this profile, right? So, your biggest key level of support you don't want to lose on Dogecoin is going to be right down here, sitting between 17 and 16 cents. Lose this, I'm looking for a much bigger drop down, maybe towards this weekly MPOC at about 12 cents. We're very far away from that, right? So a dump down tomorrow to here is not going to make me super scared, right? I'm just looking at that as we are inside the volume profile, and you can kind of feel nice and comfy when you're inside of this, right? Because this dump doesn't scare you. This pump doesn't get you super excited, right? You're just in the profile. You're looking to flip that POC and eventually come up to the value area high. That would be in the context of the volume profile. Is money flow pointing towards that to be the case? Well, can't unsee this, guys. 16-hour money flow looking to cross over into the red. 12-hour money flow looking to cross over. 10 hours in the red. 8 hours in the red. 6-hour kind of choppy. I wouldn't really take anything away from this. This is looking a little hard to read. 4-hour money flow is coming out. Same thing as Bitcoin, right? This is trending out. Could indicate that the longer-term trend is going to continue down based off the 4-hour, right? Doesn't mean that that's indicating that you're going to lose this low, right? It just means that you might be able to get a little bit more turbulence here. But I would still say, just from a very, very simple standpoint, as long as you're off these lows and you're not losing them, you might just chop around, right? It might just be continued chop until eventually you can get a move to come in here, either to flip the POC and continue through the profile, or you wind up getting the move down to the value area low with money flow coming out. At that point, it's well, hey, probably looking for the break of that range. So locally, if we pull our fib from the low to the high, pull it from this high whoops. Let's pull this from the high to the low. Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't really be... sure, you flip the POC, you can get another move up, but it's really this 786 at about 28 cents, almost 29 cents that you got to flip in order to look for that bigger rip to the upside. Until then, I would expect some kind of chop here until you can decisively get above that POC. I would be a little bit more concerned about coming down to this value area low if we were approaching from the high of the profile, right? Because again, when we look at these profiles, it's the deviation above I look at as overvalued, right? And then at that point, it's once you get back into the range and you can't get out, you're expecting the POC and then the full fill of the range down to the low. But in this case that we're in right now on Dogecoin, the real situation is that you're entering in from the low, right? So the full fill would still be all the way up, right? Doesn't mean you can't get pullbacks, right? So I'm not as concerned here because we're not approaching from the high. If we were playing around with this POC here, 100% always looking for the low, especially if money flow is pointing towards that. So yeah, I just think this is probably just going to continue to chop. I would say money flow on the 4-hour could continue to move down. You could potentially look at this kind of wonky volume profile, right? We'll keep this on the chart. It's going to look a little messy, but I'm just going to leave it here. POC sits right above the high. Deviation. If that 4-hour money flow crosses into the red and you're looking for the noise, right, or the choppiness to continue down in the context of the 4-hour, lose the POC, potentially coming down to that value area low at about 20 cents, 21 cents. 0.209, right? So these will be local levels you could look at on Dogecoin because I know these bigger ranges are there's pretty much nothing to do. here, unless you flip the POC. Like, wake me up when you flip the POC or you come down to tap the value area low, or if you hit the high. Until that happens, right, you could chop around here for a long time. So to give you guys context, in case you do chop sideways here, I would look at this volume profile with your value area high sitting right here near the POC at about 25. Your POC sitting right here at about 23.94. And then your value area low sitting here at 20.86, or just 20 cents, right? And let me actually pull this fib to the high. Yeah, you have the full golden pocket confluence here on the value area low. You lose this value area low, right? At that point, I'd be anticipating the bigger value area low, which again could be an area to look for the bounce. So that's what I look at. Local levels as well as the macro levels on Dogecoin. Shout out to Boss Man. Shout out to Boss Man. Let's see. Can we check H-bar? Yeah, sure. We can check H-bar. No problemo. I am still long Doge since 20 cents. Sheesh. Fees are moving up. Shout out to Megan. Well, where we got 20 cents? Yeah. Well, dang, man. It's like brutal. It's like, oh my God. Right. And then it's like, now you're just going sideways. Brutal. Shout out to Megan. Oh, nice trade. 20 cent. I mean, I don't know if you were looking at the volume profiles, but that would have made total sense to me. Tap into the value area low, look to go to the POC and the value area high. Not a bad move. At least high probability. Let's take a look at H-bar real quick. Take a sip of the Aztecian Cactus Moss Water. All right. Filecoin, BNB. Yeah, maybe we'll take a look at BNB as well. Just make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. Shout out to Wolf of Crypto, said, wow, BTC Bill. Frankie, from everyone watching, priceless information. Thank you, Frankie, from everyone, priceless information. Shout out to Wolf of Crypto. We're going to be here every single day, even through the bear market, guys. I will probably, I don't know. There is a weird part of me. I might get hate for this. There is a weird part of me that's kind of excited for another bear market, right? Because, like, all it does for me is it changes my short-term plans, right? Where I'm just going to be looking for more shorts than I am longs. But, you know, I say this all the time. If you are afraid of the bear market, guys, there is no better time to learn how to trade. Massive opportunity. People say, like, oh, trading in the bull market is easy because, like, you just long and eventually it goes up, which is obviously not a legit trading strategy, but it is true, right? Like, you would favor longs in a bull market, and it's, like, very nice, right? You long, eventually you're going to continue up. It's, like, it's all beautiful, right? But it's the exact same thing on the way down. It's just in the opposite direction. And when you can long and short the market like we do, just tons of opportunity to be had here. So, yeah, there is a part of me, right, that, like, I'm somewhat excited, not excited, but it's like, just like a lot of people are just like, oh man, the bull market's over. Now I have to wait. I'm like, mad long to just go back into the next bull market. It's like, that is not the case. If you learn how to trade, there's tons of money to be made on the way down. When I found that out back in the day, guys, that you can make money when price goes down, because my whole thing was like, I started as a typical beginner trader. I just wanted to trade as much as possible. I was in the charts. I was clicking buy and sell. I was getting wrecked. I just wanted to be active. And then, crypto opened my eyes because it was 24/7, right? It's like, oh, I could trade 24/7. This is great, right? I'm a total degen, right? Again, I don't recommend having this mindset. This was my old, terrible mindset. But when I found out you could short it when it goes down, I was like, oh my God. And not just crypto, but just shorting anything. It's like, oh, that's like just double opportunity, right? So just keep that in mind. If you want to, potentially, I know people are looking to invest in crypto to change their life long term for their spot bags, but like, if you want to, if you're just, me personally, I just knew I was never going to have a normal job. And I had normal jobs, many normal jobs, right? But I just knew that was not for me. And, trading was always something I tried to make work on top of other online businesses and stuff. And it's like, there's just opportunity everywhere here. It's like, well, how could you make this your full-time job if you're like stuck in the, you're tied to the performance of the market. If it's not moving, you can't make money. Not true. If it's going down, you can't make money. Also not true. You can make money whether price is going up, down, or sideways, right? Not for spot bags, right? But if you're trading and you want to replace your job, right? It's not like you have to only make money trading in a bull market, right? You could just continue that in the bear market, right? So when the bear market comes, you guys don't have to go back to work if you're quitting your jobs. But anyway, let's continue on. Let's take a look at H-bar here. All right. All right. So, yeah, just still stuck in between these two volume profiles, like clinging onto the 786 for dear life. At the end of the day, guys, if we look at this, it's pulled from the low, or this breakout impulse, to the high. Try to get the dot's not going to pop up, right? But this is pulled from the impulse of the high. I just don't know, right? Like, typically when you come down to these 786s, right, like you kind of want to tap them and then put in the higher low for another higher high. We've now tapped this once, twice, thrice, thrice, fice, sice, whatever. 17 times we've tapped this level. The more times you tap on a level, guys, more often than not, the more likely the door is to open. So can you reclaim this for another push-up? We've been looking at this key level of resistance on H-bar forever. We have not come up to it yet. And every time we look at this, I'm like, wake me up when we hit here or we hit here. And we have pretty much just been shopping sideways ever since. So, 786 is sitting here at about 21 cents. Definitely a key level of support. Can you reclaim it and push up? Maybe. I just don't love that this has been tapped so many dang times, right? Like, I don't know how much longer I would expect that to hold up. If you break it, which we are now losing and bearishly retesting, if you cannot reclaim it, the biggest level to look for is down here, sitting between 19 and 18 cents, 0.199 and 0.188. Golden pocket, value area high. And we can, of course, pull our anchored VWAP from the low, see where this comes up, right? Not helpful. So I wouldn't look at that. But golden pocket value area high is going to be that next support, right? And in my opinion, right, you kind of want to, if you can't reclaim this and push up, and again, you're going to be coming into all this resistance, really reclaiming this level. And by this level, I mean this purple zone, not just the value area low. You want to reclaim about 24 cents to indicate that maybe you can get a push up towards some of these higher levels, right? If you can't do that and we get the break here, I'm looking down here. And we want to hold this, right? If the higher low is not going to come in here, this is somewhat of a local Fibonacci retracement, right? This is the fib from this entire move down, or sorry, entire move up. So this is a much more significant Fibonacci retracement. I want to bounce here for a couple different reasons, right? If we get a move down here, you're hoping for a big bounce. If you lose this level, what are we also doing? And if you watch this stream for longer than 5 minutes, I think you can understand what I'm going to say. If we do not hold this golden pocket and we get stuck inside this volume profile, I am looking for a bigger drop down to the POC, which sits at about 17 cents, and potentially the value area low. Now, the second reason I would look for this, and the second reason why I would really want to hold this and not lose it, is because once you lose the value area high, the next target within the profile is the POC sitting right here, right? And eventually the value area low. When you lose the golden pocket, the next target is going to be the 786, which sits right on that value area low. So if you lose this level and you can't hold it, there are multiple reasons to be looking down towards the bottom of this range. And again, it's just simple volume profile theory, right? You have value up here. You have value down here. If you break into this value, well, guess what? You're going to rotate to the POC very likely. If you get accepted into this value, you're probably going to rotate to the POC and the value area low of this value. Right? And I know it looks confusing with all these different levels, but if you just look at things from a simple volume profile perspective, it doesn't even have to be spot on. You're just trying to identify where the value is sitting, right? Like even here, we looked all the way back here on many different coins, right? This is a perfect example of the rotations of the volume profiles and why I use these. Again, auction market theory, you can Google this. I wish I invented it. I don't even think that guy makes money, but I wish I invented this stuff. But here's your value, right? At this point in the market, right? Here's some sauce. Before all this chopped price action, where's your value? I have value down here, and my other value is up here from the 2021 bull market high. This range is pulled here, and I just extend the levels over. Because if I have value up here, price found fair value. Price likes to be in this zone. Price also likes to stay in this fair value. That's why when you deviate above, this is overvalued. Guess what happens? You get back into the range, back to the POC, back to the low. Overvalued, fair value. And then when you deviate below, usually it's undervalued to get accepted back in and go back into the fair value, right? But eventually, you would say to yourself, well, it's not going to range around forever, right? Eventually, obviously, you're going to get a move out of this range. Well, what can we expect if we get an impulse out of the range? Well, if I know the fair value is here, if we impulse out of this range, price always seeks fair value. So if we start pushing up aggressively here, what is price going to seek out? It's going to seek out that previous value area low at 24 cents. And what happens if you get accepted into this profile? You're going to be looking for price to go to the POC and the value area high. And obviously, and we looked at this back here when H-bar was down here, right? And what happens? Price comes up here and rotates. You get into that volume profile, you flip that level to support, you go to the POC. These levels are pulled from 2021. These levels are pulled all the way back from 2021, and they are still valid. Those volume profiles still play out. Let me come out of bar replay mode real quick, right? All right, well, I can't. The price action is not loading here, right? But this range is stopped here. I just extended the levels with a horizontal line, and look how well they are still respected. You get back above the high, or I'm sorry, you get it back above that value area low. Gonna have to come all the way back here. Right? What happens? You get above that value area low, you flip it to support, POC, and you could see it's not a guess. The POC gives you a rejection, but eventually you flip the POC and you go into the value area high. That is like one of the rawest examples of how to use this long term. Right? And the long-term theories remain the same as like the low time frame theories, right? If this is a 5-minute chart and you have a value area here and a value area here and it breaks out of that value area, you're probably going to get attracted to that next volume profile. Not only that, but you're probably going to respect it. Low, POC, high. From the high to the POC, back to the high, back to the POC, back to the low. Bounce off the low, go to the POC, back to the low, back to the POC, right? These levels are respected. You deviate above the high, back in, POC, back to the low. So I know that was kind of long and drawn out, but it just goes to show, right? Like that's part of the reason why we looked at this volume profile. So got to get accepted back in there. Until then, let's pray that we hold this level. This is key. If we lose this, I'm looking for, again, acceptance into the range to fill the fair value. Unless it is a range retest to get back in here and fill this value. That's what I'm hoping for. But let it be known. If you break back into this volume profile, I will 100%, if you can't get out, be looking for that bigger drop down, not only based off the Fibonacci volume profiles, but also the Fibonacci retracements. Lose the golden pocket, you look to the 786. Where's that 786? Right on the value area low. Lose the value area high, where are you looking to eventually go? The value area low. So huge key level to hold. Ideally, you could just hop back on top of that 786 and get above this resistance. So that's what I would look at on H-bar, and a little bit of volume profile / auction market theory sauce. All right, let's see here. Yo, shout out to Sin Nasty Kid. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Said, "Hey, paisano, I just wanted to thank you and your Goombas." Yo, shout out to you, bro, for all your hard work. Shout out to Sin Nasty. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for showing us some support here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. Let's go. Shout out to Sin Nasty. BNB. All right, let's take a look at BNB. Make sure I don't miss anything here. How can you identify a range? Like, wouldn't you have to wait until it creates a range to know? Looking back on a range is like looking back on hindsight. Shout out to McKay. Yes. Well, so here's the thing. When it comes, obviously, you have to have some kind of a range formed, right? So, like, if I start looking at the price, right, let's say, just to explain this, right? And we obviously do this all live, right? It's not just all hindsight. This is just a very clear profile fill. But let's just say, right, I'm looking at this, right? Well, like, I can't pull a profile on this, right? So at the end of the day, right, there's just no profile to pull here. Why? Well, there's no value being built, right? There's no balance. This is impulse. They're in the market. You have balance and imbalance, right? So balance is like in a range. Imbalance is in like an impulse or a trend, right? So when you have, this is imbalance, right? So when you have imbalance like this, there's no volume profile to be pulled, because to pull the volume profile, you need balance. Not to say that you can't pull a volume profile on this. Like, you can. Like, I could pull a volume profile over these candles, but it doesn't help you, right? So you would need to, of course, wait for some kind of structure to be built, right? If you get something like this, now you could pull a profile, right? And then as price action develops, now at this point, I'm saying, hey, maybe we're deviating below the low. If I could find confirmations to look for a long position to get back into the range, I could look for that fill of the volume profile. So you do have to wait for some kind of a range to be formed. But it's not just hindsight analysis, right? Because we do this while it's live as well, right? Like, even on Ethereum, right? If I pull up Ethereum real quick over here, right? We've used this range, although the range does change as time goes on, right? So I have volume profile tutorials to show you how to pull the ranges. But, you know, this range, it's funny because, like, the ranges are kind of like, the volume profiles are kind of oftentimes levels pulled from previous price action, not even incorporating current price action. So back here, right, we had a volume profile. If I pull this, right? You could see you have a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, right? But we're not just like looking at it back here and saying, oh, look at the rotation, right? Because the range might be a little different back here, but it's still going to be valid, right? So I'll just pull it, say here, right? We'll stop it right here. The volume profile is not that much different. So I can still say, right, by looking at this range, that when price comes up here, if it's not up there yet, right, you deviate above the high, which is right here. Once you get back in and can't get back out, with money flow coming out, that's where you look for the full rotation back down. So you do, but you need this price action to form a range in order to pull a sensible volume profile. If this was just a straight candle up, I can't really pull a profile on it. So you do need some kind of development of a range. So absolutely. But yeah, like even here, right? This volume profile, although pulled from back here, could still be valid, right? If you come down here, deviate with bullish confirmations to get back in and rotate back up. So the range stops being pulled here, and I would argue you could extend this now because you're back in your volume, you're back in your balance. But like 100%, right? Like this range is pulled to here, right? But at some point, it was like this, right? And then your range would look like that. Right? And it's like, oh my God, we're deviating above. Oh my God, we're back in the range. Money flow is in the red. If we can't get out, we're looking for the full rotation. So, but you couldn't pull this range if you don't have a range, right? I can't pull it here, right? Well, funny enough, the range is actually not that much different on this either. But yeah, so you do need some kind of development on price action. You can't just like pull a volume profile on one random green candle. All right, let's continue on here. What were we going to look at? What was it? I got sidetracked. I got dang sidetracked here. BNB. Let's take a look at BNB. Whoops. All right. So. All right. So we did not get the sweep of the highs. But as always, right, what do we look at up here? Here's your major Fibonacci extension zone, right? It is between 1276 and 1328. That's your next major extension zone, right? We talked about pushing into this. This could be resistance, right? And on top of that, you obviously have your money flow coming out, right? We looked at, even looking at Bitcoin and everything else, right? Like money flow is trending out here. I would be careful of a pullback. Would have been nice if you can get an SFP there. It would have given you a nice little setup to take a short. But at the end of the day, we're getting the rejection there, right? Money flow is coming out. 1 hour money flow is crossed over into the red. This could indicate a potential continuation of that downtrend. So I'll pull up some other support levels for you guys locally here. And again, even right here, right, you can pull this as a volume profile. Now, obviously, this is going to be valid. If you come back up, right, you can argue to yourself, if you come back up here and flip this level to support, you can then look to fill that profile in full. This is balance. We've created balance up here, right? And even earlier, right, if you started looking at the range here, right, that's still your volume profile. And if I delete this stuff and I mark this out, you could even use this within the local ranges, which is why I love volume profiles, right? Come on down to a lower time frame. Well, here's your low time frame range. And these value areas will move when you change time frames. I'll just keep it here, right? Tap the low, back to the POC, back to the high. Deviation above the high, back in. You lose the POC, back down to the low. Deviation below, back in, back to the high. Deviation above, back in, back to the value area low. And then eventually you will break out. But when you trade the volume profiles and you're looking for shorts at the highs and you're identifying that money flow is in the red, indicating an eventual breakdown of the range, guess what? You are very oftentimes going to be holding a short from the high of the volume profile in the context of a day trade or scalp to the downside with the opportunity to turn that into a grand slam trade, right? You might just be looking at this short as a little scalp for 2.5% to the value area low. But once you get down here, you might say to yourself, hey, I'm going to lock in some profit, move my stop loss to break even for a guaranteed winning trade. And then if I get stopped out, I get stopped out in profit. But if it keeps running because I see money flow coming out, indicating the trend would continue down, I would anticipate this to break to the downside. And I could turn that little day trade or scalp into a little bit more of a swing trade, right? Or a grand slam instead of a single or a double. So just give it a little bit of idea of like how you can pull these volume profiles. So right now, right, we are getting the resistance here. I'll take off this local volume profile. And again, price range is 80% of the time, right? So it's like, there's your balance, here's your imbalance. If you start getting back into your balance, you can look for the rotation up, right? And again, it has to be confluent with money flow. You have to have your signals. You have to know what to look for to take the actual trades. That's just the theory, right? And let me actually get those Fibonacci extensions back, right? So we're rejecting the major Fibonacci extension. So where would be the next key level that I would be looking at as far as support? Well, to be honest, kind of difficult, right? Because this is all very impulsive price action. So the only other profile that I could pull is, let me see if I can get rid of some of these fib levels just to clean up the chart here, right? So we're hitting the resistance. If we continue down here, which again, money flow could be pointing towards if this continues out into the red on many different time frames, 90-minute, looking to cross over into the red. 1 hour's already in the red. You have a 16-hour red dot maybe? No, not quite. Daily red dot is printing. So I would say if you get that 90-minute money flow crossover with your daily red dot, that could indicate the continuation of the downtrend, right? If you do get that, I mean, I could try to pull some value right here. You got a little mini profile here. I wouldn't necessarily be like trading this, but it does give you some kind of support, right? And then we could try to pull some. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like where I would pull this fib from, right? It's like maybe this low, and I can also get. Oh yeah, we got the perfect bounce off that golden pocket, but it is tapped, so I'll get rid of that. These are all naked, I believe. Yeah, these are weeklies. These are all naked. We can get rid of that. That's the extension. So let me get rid of the 786. Get rid of the retracement levels. Leave the extension levels. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to talking to myself here while I'm trying to mark this out for you. So POC value area. And then I will pull this, I guess, from this high or low. I mean, there's many places you could pull this fib, but all right. Well, you do have confluence there. Yeah, you'd have to pull a more local fib there to see if you have any kind of confluence there. Let me pull up some NPOCs real quick. Just trying to see if we have any confluence there. So daily NPOC sitting right here. You got another one sitting right there. Let's pull up the weeklies. Got a weekly NPOC right here. Check the monthly. And you got a monthly MPOC here. All right, so now that I have these, right, we could see if we have any confluence on any of this. And unfortunately, we don't really. You do have a daily horizontal sitting right here on this POC, so that would be a level to watch. No weeklies. So yeah, I mean, so what I'm trying to do here is try to find where the confluence is, right? And like, I'm sure I can find a fib here on one of these higher lows that gives you confluence. And if you pull it from this higher low to the absolute high, golden pocket value area high confluence, 786 confluence. I just don't know if that's something I'd be significantly interested in, but at the end of the day, the value area high is going to be somewhat of a level of support. If you can't hold this golden pocket, I would look for acceptance into the range and a push down to the 786. And then if you lose this, it's like, I just don't love this fib pull. You have the POC value area low 786. These are just general levels I would look at. And if you're looking at higher time frames, you can even just look at the range here between 1181 and 1141 as a big zone of support, right? Because we got clung up here. We built some balance, right? There was interest at this level somewhat. Maybe we get the bounce from there, right? So just that's how I built out that key level. So you can look at it as a zone pretty much between 1186 all the way down to the 786 at about 1140. If we lose that, I'm looking down towards the daily MPOC at 1107, and then we have another daily MPOC down here at 1058. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but if this continues down, I would expect this to be the next place where you get some kind of turbulence, right? Maybe whether it's a high or low for a massive push up, or it's, you know, just general support. Maybe you kind of just bing bong around, depending on what money flow looks like at that point. You know, that would have a great impact on what I think is going to come next here. But I would say with the way money flow looks like right now on the 80-minute and the 90-minute, we get that crossover into the red with the daily red dot. That is what I would look at for the continuation down. Take a look at the higher time frames. You know, 3-day money flow, very, very bullish here. 4-day money flow looking very good. 5-day money flow trending to the upside. 6-day money flow looks very healthy. Weekly money flow looks pretty healthy as well. So I wouldn't look at this 4-hour money flow, or I'm sorry, the 90-minute money flow crossover as it's all over. I would just look at it to continue. You know, here's your balance. You break down. Money flow is coming out. Lower highs and lower lows might be in the cards. So watch this zone right here. Took a minute to get to that conclusion, but there it is. So there you go. That's what I would be looking at on BNB. Crazy day at the barbershop. Gotta go, y'all. Gotta go brag about my newest meme coin. You know how us barber financial advisors are. Bull market's over if we're chatting about it. Yo, shout out to Pennywise. Yo, Pennywise, you're a barber, bro? We gotta get you down here to give me a cut. I just got a cut. This weekend. But I'm not gonna lie, not super happy with the haircuts down here still. So Pennywise, if you can get us a chop down here, that'd be fire. K Diggity lost power, but now he's back. Let's go. Shout out to K Diggity. The goat's just chewing the wires. All right, let's see. Thank you for all the alpha, Frankie. Shout out to Brad. I need a trim, Penny. Come over. Shout out to Cryptic Crab Man. Come on, Penny. We got to bring you down here to give us some cuts. Ticker sign clip. Shout out to Tony D. I think he's referring to the haircuts. Dude next door to my house already had his Christmas lights up that sing. Shout out. That's crazy work. October is crazy for that. Dang. Not even just skipped Halloween, skipped Thanksgiving. I was like, what holidays in November? Just to go straight to Christmas. Yo, shout out to Jared said, looking great. Get rid of the hat. I don't know, guys. In my 30s here, I'm getting a little bit. I don't know what it is. Does anybody else go through this? The older you get, like I'm 33 now. I feel like my forehead, it keeps growing. That's like the only part of my body that keeps getting bigger. Everything else is kind of just staying the same. Forehead getting quite big though. Not gonna lie. But I'll keep it off for now. We'll do the rest of the stream without it. And we are. Oh my God, it's 7:45. Why do I keep doing this, guys? How do I keep doing this? Frankie's cutting up. Can you do Filecoin? I put my life savings in it. Shout out to Mac. All right, I'll take a quick look at Filecoin. We're already over time here, but let's go ahead and take a look at. Try not to get blinded by my forehead shining there. But let's take a look at Filecoin. I do believe we have a Filecoin chart. Not the Coinbase chart. Binance chart? Maybe we don't have a significant Filecoin chart. I'll just take this one. I'll actually leave these MPOCs. I mean, heck. Oh, yeah, that fib is done. Monthly and weekly MPOCs. I mean, these all remain the same. We're pretty far away from them. So here's your volume profile, and I'll mark this out in two different ways, right? So you have your volume profile. You have your low, your POC, and your high. Obviously, very well respected. Bada boom, bada bing. Right? And again, to kind of like talk to the hindsight thing, right? Sure, this range is in hindsight, but still gives you foresight, right? Deviate below the low, still a key level to look for the rotation to the high, right? But we have now lost that range, right? So we can actually, I would extend this, right? Because the range was respected pretty much right until here. So this does change the levels slightly. So this would be your volume profile. You have the low, you have the POC, you have the value area high, and you are currently deviating below. So in a simple term, right, you're hoping, right, from a structure or a key level perspective to get above this value area low, push into the POC, and then, fill the range and fold, just like you did here, 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 right? And then maybe the range was a little bit different back here. Right? Probably was. I mean, the range kind of started there. So the range was different back there. But I would still be viewing this as your volume profile, extended all the way here to about February 9th. Get rid of these brushes. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. So yeah, from a high time frame perspective, see what we got going on here on the 3-day. I always say 3-day money flow is typically a good sign here. You're still chugging your way up. That money flow crosses into the green. This is typically what you want to see. When you get that crossover into the green and start getting a pop-up, you could start to look for that trend to continue to the upside, which makes the key levels to look at above and the roadmap, the blueprint for not only targets, but exactly what price will likely do up here. If you get the pop-up, money flow crosses into the green, you're looking for higher lows and higher highs, higher lows and higher highs, but you are looking at these key levels, value area low at 319. Let's say you get the pop-up, money flow crosses into the green, you'll probably get resistance at the value area low. If you can continue up and flip this level, you can start to move up towards that point of control and value area high. The POC sits at $5.79, and then the value area high sits at $6.51. Simply put, I mean, those are your key levels. As far as moves to the downside, is this all the price action? Maybe it is. So assuming that is all of our price action here, there's not really many other levels I can look at to the downside. We don't really have a lot to look at to the left, right? The only thing I can tell you is that you have a couple of dailies, right? You have a daily level down here. You have a daily level right here. I won't mark them all out, but to the downside, right? Like really the only thing that I can look at is going to be extension levels, right? So if I pull from the low to the high, pull up my extension. I mean, I would say this is your next extension level. I mean, if you break down below these lows, it's hard to say, right? Like you could hold support earlier than that, but I would say your next significant key level to the downside as far as extension goes is $1.73. But your hope here is that you don't have to visit that, right? So your hope is you could get a kick to the upside here, hold above these dailies, and start getting a move up, right, with that 3-day money flow crossover. And then you could potentially start the bigger trend. The biggest level to get above on the chart for me to start looking for higher prices is 319. Get above that, look for the continuation up potentially through the rest of the profile. Other than that, not really too much to look at here. You know, your daily money flow back in the red, 2-day money flow, red dot looking to print, still in the red there. 3-day doesn't look bad as far as money flow, but your VWAP is coming down, so you might just kind of chop around here. But I would say the thing to look for is that 3-day money flow crossover to potentially start that bigger, significant, larger, higher term trend to the upside. And then that's your roadmap to the upside. And then hopefully, right, what do we have? We have balance. And if we get back in here and we start getting imbalance, meaning an impulse or a heavy trend to the upside, where is price going to gravitate to? Well, number one, you have a big area of value up here, but even before that, you have another little area of balance right here. So I would have to say, right, not only do you have key levels of resistance here, monthly and weekly MPOCs, but you also have this little volume profile. So I could say to myself, if we get a true impulse out of this range, price is going to gravitate towards these levels, around $20. So that's kind of my overall thought process, low time frame analysis, and just kind of longer term outlook if you can get back above this low with the 3-day money flow crossing over into the green. So that's what I would look for on Filecoin. I mean, just still sitting down here at bear market lows, lower than the bear market. It made a new low. Insane. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. But guys, with all that being said, I think that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. Dang, Frankie going hard tonight. Yo, shout out to Rudy. Yeah, we're already, it's almost 8 o'clock. We've been going live for 2 hours and 11 minutes. I've been trying to keep these closer to an hour, guys, and it just seems that my brain just keeps them locked in on 1 hour straight. I don't know why. But one last little, oh, wait, hang on. Okay, never mind. I thought we were in bar replay mode there for a second. Let's just come back over to Bitcoin. What do we got going on good old Biddy here? Yeah, still just chopping around here on the local value area low. See if we can hold this. So if you just tuned in, understand, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I give you all the local key levels, but we took that scalp long in the premium Discord here from the low, or the value area high, I should say. This was our first target. My stop loss is that break even. If we can stay up in here, we can look to cook back up towards that POC, but there are local levels of resistance here, Fibonacci retracements that we have to keep an eye on. Scrub back to the beginning of the stream if you missed those levels. I'm not going to waste the time going over them again, but we'll see. See if you can hold on top of that value area low for the move up. But overall, guys, I do have to say money flow on the medium time frames is more likely than not pointing towards lackluster retracements for lower highs and lower lows to come, where we have this next big level of support. Once we lose this, I think we are probably in store for the bigger correction down here to the 115 to 112K zone. Lose that. Don't want to lose that value area high down here below. And again, just very simply, not just saying that as a random level, it is because of the volume profiles. We get stuck under here. Definitely a much more bearish case. But there's plenty of room here to get bounces. Hey, I hope money flow scams and fakes out to the upside, and this could be the low. But again, from a logical perspective, money flow is not pointing towards that. It's looking for lower highs and lower lows. But I will be checked in here with you guys tomorrow, giving you all of the insight, whether TA plays out or not. I'll be back here giving you guys an update, and hopefully we get to see price continue in the direction that we think it's going to go. But yeah, it's just like I love to come on here and say like, oh my God, we're going to new all-time highs. And typically when we do that, we do see the all-time highs, as you guys know. But I got to say, money flow on the medium time frames is definitely pointing towards more downside, maybe before one last little pop up. If anything crazy changes, I'll keep you guys updated on the live streams and the market updates. Thank you all for tuning in. Smash that like button if you appreciate the free content or you learned something. And with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Giveaways tomorrow, guys, at the end of the stream, so don't miss it. It's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second belt. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 belts ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
No, I know. I'm short right now, dude. I don't care, though. Liquidate it. You're my cousin, dude. Come on. I'm family. Just pump it. I know you're trying to stick on the 4-year cycle, but just pump it one more time. Liquidate my short. Stop me out. I don't care. Just pump it one more time. We want one last hurrah. Let the altcoins go, bro. Yeah? You'll think about it. All right. I don't trust you, but whatever. Peace. All right, guys, I just got off the phone with my cousin, which you guys know is Satoshi. He said he was going to pump it, but it kind of sounded sarcastic, so I don't have my hopes up. But I tried. I tried, guys. We'll see what happens. I'll check in with you tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go.
glass on a roll, hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the